Welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 220. Greg Cummings, community manager far from home, and their game Forever Skies. This week joined by the aforementioned Greg and RGT, who are forever young to my forever. The words that no one does, but yeah.
Wow.
Listen.
Hello. I wasn't prepared for that for that introduction.
This is the mindless singing era. I don't see it lasting long, to be honest with you. RGT, have you got a hidden gem?
No. You had one last time. Don't be spoiled. One a month. Move on.
Honestly, it's like the fasting diet with these hidden gems. Greg, welcome back. It's been a while since we've had you on. Quite the new world for you now. You are officially what I would call a gaming celebrity, helped in no part by your appearance on this show in your fledgling years. Some would say more harm than good, but still your shining star and innate talent just kind of bubbled to the surface. And now, and we'll get into this later on, you are a bona fide industry guru, dripping in lanyards from all across the world from your celebrity gaming adventures. How does that feel to have crossed what I would call the Rubicon?
How does it feel? I feel thankful, clearly, from the help that you obviously gave me all those years
I was saying no, that this did not help in any way.
It feels good. It still feels a little surreal in all seriousness. It's still kind of bizarre to think that I work in the video game industry. It's always something that I always wanted to do. And yeah, like now that I'm here, I don't think it's ever fully like clicked that I still get to do this for a living. But I think the thing as well is that it is as fun as good as it is. You know, it is still just a job at the end of the day, and it's not the most important thing that sort of defines, you know, who you are, family, friends, you know, blah, 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 video games, you know, personal time. That's all the stuff that really, I think, matters the most. But yeah, it certainly beats what I used to do. That's for sure.
Well, you're on the UCP, not accepting your Oscar, but that is probably one of the most humble intros back to me that I've ever been aware of or been exposed to. And I think that kind of resonates down through you as a man. You are a very humble person. You're very down to earth. Let me say this. The game industry hasn't changed you. RGT got one little corner in Retro Gamer magazine, and he's let it redefine his whole soul. He's not.
Should we move on from that? You're correct. Well done.
Good to hear. Well, you're here. It's probably going to be a little rude of me not to ask you what you've been playing. So now this is one question I did have. Now you're on the inside. So let me use a wrestling analogy. Now you know that the power bomb is a little bit of window dressing. When you sit down and watch Undertaker get powerbombed through a table, you kind of go, yeah, to be honest, I'll just brush that off. Now you're in the gaming industry, before you indulge us with what you've been playing, do you now see the smoke behind the mirrors, behind the curtain? You know it's a guy pulling levers and dials and switches. Do you find it's affected your ability to fully absorb yourself in a game?
You do, actually. It's kind of like, I don't think how the sausage is made is probably the right term for it.
No, I like it. Let's get behind it.
It's truly fascinating when you play a video game now, compared to before I worked like for a studio. You know, you see literally step by step how a game is built from the ground up. You know, from sort of from prototype into concept, into texturing, into sort of programming, everything that makes up a video game. And you sort of see this when you're then playing games yourself, that you haven't worked on, and you go, okay, I see how this was put together now. I see how this might have been concepted beforehand. I could probably imagine why they did this. Oh, I see why this. Like just like subtle things, like for example, I'll give you an example. Like like in linear games, where like a game wants you to go like a specific way, and how they will sort of highlight where you're supposed to go by sort of like brightening up that section of the level of the map, and sort of like giving very subtle hints that you don't really notice as a player, like a general sort of gamer. But when you work in the industry and you notice these tricks that you do, that sort of like the people that you work with do, you see it when you're playing games yourself and go, see what they're doing there. Like subconsciously, you never notice what they're doing, but unless you really do sort of pay attention to this kind of stuff. I know I certainly did pay attention to this kind of stuff beforehand. So yeah, that kind of stuff really is fascinating. It is kind of interesting, and it kind of in a way it makes me appreciate video games on a whole other level than what I did before, because I really see how much work actually goes into them. So yeah, I really like that, especially when I'm playing sort of survival games, which is what Forever Skies is. That's the genre that it falls into. So I kind of see I have a much more deeper appreciation for them, and knowing how much work actually goes into them, because we all know it's all like video games are a lot of work. This is a thing that everyone knows, but just actually how much work is not really known by the general public. And yeah, it's truly awesome to see. So yeah, that answers that question, I guess.
So with that in mind, what games have you been ruining for yourself?
Right, very good. I've been playing quite a lot of things, actually. On PC, I've just finished Black Mesa, which is the fan-made Half-Life reboot. Well, not reboot. It's a remake of the original Half-Life, but it's fan-made, which was approved by Valve. That was a lot of fun to go through, but it made me remember just actually how bloody long Half-Life is. Mm-hmm. Like, I completely forgot it. I've not played it since I was a kid. Going back to it through the Black Mesa reboot, remake. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Got a couple of questions for you. When did you switch your cult allegiance to the one of the master race? And what is this rig? Is it the sort of thing that's going to trouble deep thought on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Or is it just your day-to-day work rig and you can get it running a pretty decent version of Half-Life Black Mesa?
It's a pretty good rig, actually. It was given to me by my work. So I work in games, so it's a pretty good rig. It's not like sort of top rig. It's like a
make a note to send RGT a 286.
that'll do. That's fine.
Will do. Yeah,
another specky will do. That'll cover it.
It's got a couple of years on it,
Yeah.
Don't send him a specky. It's because it's what he wanted.
He hasn't earned it.
Okay, so
yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like a sort of medium to high. It's not like the top, but it certainly will be good for the next sort of 5 years or so.
Is it a rig powerful enough to make you feel like you can run Assassin's Creed Black Flag at full spec like an absolute boss?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, at this stage, it could probably run Black Flag at absolute tippity top. It can run Crisis 3 as well.
The ultimate test. No. I didn't want to threaten it with the.
I'd like to think
bring it down.
I feel like we need a new bar for that. At this stage,
it's Black Flag full.
That's.
How did you find?
Still hasn't been improved, but I am still PlayStation at heart. I do, but I now have a PC that can play games, so I might as well make the most of the games that don't make it onto PlayStation.
Have you indulged yourself with a PC version of a PlayStation recent classic on your system, on your PC system, just to indulge yourself?
What do you mean, like a PlayStation first party title?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I keep that literally console. The thing is, like, I don't really. I kind of play just the PC games that I play on here. Usually are just only available on like Microsoft, so PC or Xbox, because I don't own an Xbox. So everything, like, usually in my own personal gaming time, I will usually still go to the PlayStation, because even though I work from home, it kind of feels bizarre to me when I sort of like say, let's say, finish work for the day and then literally remain seated where I've been for the last 8 to 9 hours and continue playing PC games through the night. So that sort of transition literally into the next room is like enough to sort of say, right, work is finished. Now it's time to play games. So yeah, I try and I don't play too many on the PC. Mostly I play on the PlayStation. I've been playing a few lately on PlayStation as well. And funnily enough, actually, I've been replaying Bioshock 2. And I believe that somebody else here has also been doing exactly the same thing.
Wow, look at you two, sexual patriots.
Well, the thing is, it's just one of those, I don't know. I've been craving to play Judas, and I won't get to play Judas probably for another year or two. So I thought, well, I've replayed Bioshock 1 recently. I did Infinite again last year. And I realized I've only played Bioshock 2 once, and it is seriously an underrated game that should get all the credits that Bioshock 1 does. It's just that Bioshock 1 is more iconic. You know, I think Bioshock 2 is actually a more cleaner experience. And so, yeah, I've gone back and I'm replaying that now. And the great thing is, it's been like, what, maybe 14 years since I last played it. So it's been like, I've got like a few select memories from back then. So most of it is still kind of new to me again, because it's been that long. There are certain key moments that happen throughout the story that you go, yes, no, I do remember that. That was cool.
I think for me, Bioshock 2, I was able to absorb the story more because the gameplay was cleaner in its execution. I was able to interact with, I felt the world was more interactable because I wasn't being restricted through button. Not that Bioshock 1's got bad button inputs or anything like that, but everything just felt as it should do, totally cleaned up and refined for the second one. And therefore I had bizarrely, although the feelings of 1 will stick with me, 2, the game will probably stick with me more. Is that how you found it on this second playthrough, Greg?
Yeah, I think so. Because, like you say, everything that you just said, it's a cleaner UI. The HUD makes more sense. The powers are, constantly available. The guns are constantly available. And I think adding to what I was saying before as well about my deeper appreciation for video game and structure and level and level design and pacing, I think it'll make me appreciate a lot more than when I was like some, 19-year-old kid playing this. I think I'll have a greater appreciation for it this time around, and I would like to think, that my memory of this will last one hell of a lot longer than it did the first time through. Because it's honestly such a breath of fresh air. Like, to play this now, it still holds up very well. Even visually, like, you get a bit too close to certain models, and you do start to see, as I said before, how the sausage was made. But when you take the world in as a whole, like as like a landscape, it's absolutely stunning. The color palette is insane from the word go. It really sort of takes your breath away, even still, which is a real testament, especially to games that coming out around the same time during the whole, tea-colored era of video games where everything was just like a grayish green, throughout the entire PS3 era. Like, this one stands head and shoulders above the rest on terms of art direction, visual fidelity. It's absolutely wonderful.
That's what I was going to ask you about the when you just recently played that Half-Life sort of fan-made game. How did you find that? Obviously, being in the industry now, looking at that game from more of a in the industry eye, how did you find that was made? Because I've just recently purchased the 2 Daymare games, and they've got I just bought them because of the history of what they were remaking, Resident Evil, and then they were already doing Resident Evil 2, so they took them in under their wing and said, well, we'll help you finish the games, but make them under a different name, sort of thing. How did you find that playing this Half-Life? Was it as good as a studio? Did you notice anything, or did it run smooth?
It ran very smoothly, actually, and it basically is a studio that now does it. It's a bunch of people who work in game dev who came together just through their love of the original Half-Life games, and they came together and built something in the Source engine. In fact, I think there's actually a really good shout out to NoClip YouTube channel. They did a great documentary on it a few years ago. It's like saying like it's like a fan-made remake kind of really doesn't do it justice, because this thing took like 10 years to make. I think it was, because it just starts off like as a mod. like a little bit of a side project, and then it sort of gathered pace and more people joined the project. And before you know it, you essentially had like, I think it was like 100, 250 devs. I can't remember working on this in the end. Just from all sides, concept art, 3D art,
I think they're
programming.
doing
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, I think they're doing a similar thing with Time Splitters at the moment. I think there was a load of fans who have been remaking Time Splitters. They've got to a bit of a level now where they're a bit stuck, so they've been asking for devs to give a bit of their time up and help them literally get it over the line. But it's very, very close to being done from what I hear. But yeah, I know they've been doing that, and I think that started off as a bit of a mod project. Then just ended up being this full blown remake.
Hell yeah! I was not aware of that, so I'm always down for more Time Splitters.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the original. Damn! What's the game that came out? It's like one of the most popular games out there right now. Activision Blizzard, playing as different Legends characters in different.
Diablo?
No, not Diablo. Oh my god! It begins with O, I believe. I can't remember. I've had a complete Overwatch. Thank you. Yes. Oh my god!
Don't bring
George's favorite.
Don't bring that name here.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying about Time Splitters, right? It was like the original Overwatch. It was like that, but loads of stupid, wacky characters. Just sort of like.
Do you think Tom was a big Time Splitters fan? Do you think that's where this Overwatch addiction came from?
Possibly. OG Tom?
Yeah, that filthy scallywag, yeah. Did you catch him last episode? He came back. No.
I still haven't forgiven him for saying no when Berlin, was it? Something how he pronounced it?
I mean, I wouldn't take offence. This is a guy who thinks BST is British Sea Time. The guy's a menace to society.
I can't remember. It was something. I remember listening to him trying to pronounce my name. Like, I can't wait to call him out on air about this.
I think he was trying to be theatrical and got it wrong. I think.
He is a true man of the arts.
We're talking of these sort of mods that become way bigger than they should be. Have you seen the Fallout London, what they've been producing?
I have, and I kind of feel for them. I was very much looking forward to that mod, actually. I was going to check it out now that I can. And no, but it's kind of it's a little bit rubbish how sort of Bethesda kind of completely sort of pulled the rug from under them by sort of launching the Fallout 4 PS5 update, which was kind of not as good as it should be, but it was certainly within Bethesda's sort of usual standard, shall we say. And it's kind of, I did read something yesterday. I think they actually have found a platform for it. I can't remember where they said it was, but I think they have found a new home for the mods, so it sounds like it will be coming. But yeah, I think Epic Game Store or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I did read that they found somewhere for it. So at least the work isn't going to go to waste. Players will be able to play it. But yeah, like these fan-made mods, man, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And like I say, calling them that is kind of like it does it a disservice because they are just as good as any. They are basically a studio themselves. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And
considering that they've worked in their sort of, I mean, I think a lot of the legwork for that was carried out during COVID. So this has been a long time in the making, for want of a better word. Probably same incubation period as a AAA game that would be based on that engine, one would imagine. It seems the amount of work that's gone into it in their spare time to create this. I know I've watched a few videos. I know sort of development has ramped up as we've approached this sort of release date and had something ironed on. Again, we're sad as gamers, or the audience is sad as a collective, but putting developer hat on for a minute, how I know Bethesda have got a lot of stick for this. Bethesda, call them what you like. If they've had a lot of stick for this, yeah. But who there would be the one to say, actually put some brakes on this PS5 reskin we've got coming up off the back of the TV show? put your brakes on it because these guys have created Fallout London in their spare time. Was that something that you now, as community manager, you're aware of what, things that are going on in and around the Forever Skies community? Is this something that caused you to put brakes on something? Or
if there was a fan made,
there was a fan made.
It's hard to compare the two because the studio size I'm talking about here are vastly different. We are a team of 30 overall. That's not just production. That's like everyone. That's admin. That's marketing. And Bethesda, as we know, own about a fifth of the earth. So it's really hard to say exactly. I would say we're very community focused, and our development has been very community driven because we're in early access, which means we're constantly listening to the community. And I'd like to think that if you ask pretty much any of our community or any of our players, any of our community, they would say that Far From Home take our opinion on board. They do listen, and we make changes accordingly in our game because we're in early access. Bethesda, I don't know. I think it would literally just be Todd Howard, right? I don't know anyone else who. I don't know what's put the brakes on it. I don't think anybody would put the brakes on it.
What would have been the most sort of non-colorblind thing to do? Would it have been to have someone on the periphery say, "Oh, you know that we were going to stealth drop the high-res update"? Yes. These guys, because they don't just work that. They didn't just come up with that one afternoon off the surprise success of the Fallout TV show. These things were kind of so simultaneously released or around the same period that you can imagine that it maybe even slipped past the TV show, and they probably should have had it out 2 weeks before. But
quite possibly. But the thing is, like, it doesn't matter when they released it because the code they must have been using, whether they had a change and upgraded engine that kind of made everything that was on London. So,
would the least colorblind thing have been to have been aware in the periphery that this was happening, which also had a release date around the TV show, which also benefited them? To have gone 6 months before to them and said, "We can help you make this pop, but not just pop in the way you thought it was going to pop. I'm talking updated graphics engine, the whole bag of tricks. You can come out." This is very generous of us because technically our property and we're giving you free use of it, but you can come out at the same time as this update, as these mods, as all this stuff. You can be running at the latest gizmos. Would that have been a very community embraced way to do it? Is that the way that you think you would try and attempt to circumnavigate this hurdle?
You'd think so. In an ideal world, that's how they would have done. Like any community work folk like myself, that's certainly how we would have been pushing to do it because we would have been very aware of certain things. People on the production side maybe not as aware of what was going on. But, it's kind of strange in a way because all the Bethesda higher-ups have ever done is just praise their modding community because, a lot of the time they make the games infinitely better. I'm not hating on Bethesda in any real way because I actually do enjoy a lot of their games. Starfield aside, but like, I think they would have had more awareness for sure. And in an ideal world, that is how they should have done it. Yes.
Well, going back to Capcom, that was a fan-made Resident Evil 2 they were making, and rather than shutting them down, saying no, they took them into their studios and said no. Yeah. We can't let you release this because we're already remaking Resident Evil 2, but we'll help you finish it. Call it a different name. We'll help you and they help these fans make their game and even got them a physical release of the game. So they literally took them under their wing, which I know it's not the same. I mean, Nintendo, for instance, anyone's making anything related to their IPs and they're shut down.
Shut it down.
Yeah. But it's so nice to see that some of these studios will take them under their wings and say, look, sorry, you can't do that because of this, but will still help you release something, and that's good. That was brilliant publicity and press for Capcom.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any studio just needs to remember that no studio is bigger than its community.
Yeah, sometimes it's best to work with a community rather than against a community, and it's
absolutely. I mean, a great example of that would have been most recently in the last couple of weeks with Arrowhead and Helldivers, right? No studio can sort of overrule a community because let me tell you, those players, they will let you know how they feel about it. And I'm surprised that this actually hasn't blown up more for Bethesda. But yeah, I think I think everything will work out fine. I think Bethesda probably should have been a little bit more aware of what was going on, and they probably might have been aware, but they probably, I don't know. I don't want to speak for them. They might have probably just not have cared because they had their own plans, and Fallout London wasn't probably going to benefit them in any kind of way.
That was my.
I mean, it would have brought up their concurrent players because it's still classed as Fallout 4. People playing Fallout 4 on your Steam numbers, and every other platform. So it would have helped them, but I guess
as well, it would have had like a general. The whole brand saw a general uplift. I think what was Fallout 4's sales went up in a measure of 1,000%.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that would have been that wouldn't have been for London though, would it? That would have just been for people buying the upgrade or
no, absolutely. But the concurrent players returning to Fallout 4, realizing or 3 or New Vegas, realizing that they'd already seen the full turn of the wheel, doing a little bit of googling, comes up there's this full mod. All of a sudden, they can't find their physical version of it, so they're buying another version on sale on Steam. Ergo, as an example, so they've had double bubble of the game. Yeah, they're not going to play the main story of that, but they are going to play this new world they're mildly intrigued in Fallout London. So there is some sort of cross-platform uplift from such things. To think that there's no financial return, I think, is a bit short-sighted, but not certainly as much as you'd get if you created your own, if it'd come from their own creation studios. Or maybe, because they've got the Mod Hub Club, hasn't there, where mods of a decent size get, at least on the PlayStation platforms, get premiered or light shown on them because they're kind of authorized. I can't imagine.
Yeah, they're supported. Yeah. Certain mods get supported by the studio, so that even the studio will help if something's not working. If it's caused a crash and it's a supported mod by the studio should help look into it. But
question: your game's based around sort of flying around in airships as a to bring it down into its loosest form.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a film or series that could tie back into that mechanic in a very loose way, and this is why I've had to break it down to its most component parts. Are you aware of the film series? Well, I say series when there's been only one. It's not a series. The film Slipstream by Mark Hamill.
No, I'm not familiar with this, actually, no.
Okay, let's start gathering behind the Slipstream mod for Sky.
There we go, we've got to start.
Hamill's coming in, he's going to revoice his work. I've got the glider, I'm working on the glider, the cliff top sort of base as well. I think this is going to, maybe as well, Malcolm McDowell coming in. I think they were both in it. Maybe a bit of a Wing Commander vibe going on there. I don't even know what came first, chicken or the egg. Other than, I mean, we've been on quite an elaborate loop to come back round to the fact that you've talked about a fan-made Half-Life mod. God knows what the AI is going to make of what we've just talked about. They're going to probably, it gets very wordy, you know. So we've talked about the intricacies of fan-made community support and how that impacts AAA games in the modern gaming sphere. Like, well done, AI. Maybe you could just cut me out and sound awesome.
We've also moved past that as well. We've gone on to Bioshock 2, so I have no idea how we managed to take this sort of like
I don't even know.
No,
but we've been on the. I've gone round. I feel like Devo on a roundabout powered by a scooter.
There's a niche reference that maybe maybe 3 people will understand.
Yeah.
Our 3 listeners. Currently, the 3
so
people.
100%.
Yeah. Also, the 3 people 100%. Currently creating the episode. So that's hit hard. That's meta, as the cool kids say.
It's not even everything I've been playing. I've been sort of playing something else as well. If you're interested.
Well, I think that's where my elaborate wordplay was taking me to. What else?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I've just took us straight there.
To be honest, it was that much of a link that it forgot it was a link about halfway through. Then
became its own thing.
Yeah, it scrabbled for its own survival, then realised it had eaten half its own ecosystem, and then you came along and just gently
just bulldozed over it, you know, like paving over it.
I thought you'd saved it, but yeah, you turned it into a parking lot. What's this other game you've been playing?
I've also been playing a very unique game that you might have heard called Harold Halibut. Have you heard of this?
Now, my mind, the way it works, is very cynical. looked at Harold the Halibut. Now, I know this is that really nicely made
stop motion
game. Yeah, you put the word in my mouth, which I had no idea where it was going to come from, to be honest. I looked up at the universe for the right words. Nothing came. But it does sound
to provide.
Wow.
It does sound
you know what?
I knew you were excited for this show, Greg. But wow.
Considering what my surname is, and considering how George me in the last episode that I was on, I thought I'd managed to sort of skip that landmine, but apparently I just went there myself. Brilliant.
You stood on it. It's like OG Tom an episode ago. He led us into a landmine and then had no idea how to get out.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, where were we?
I was saying that my brutal sense of irony made me feel like the Harold the Halibut sounds like the little version of Dave the Diver.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
And they're completely like they could not be more different.
Exactly. But although my mind was like, oh, that's bad timing because there's a first name aquatic based job, first name aquatic based creature.
But he's not Harold the Halibut. He's Harold Halibut. Halibut is his surname. Which is
sure? Are you sure? Much like Jake the Snake, his middle name's not the.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe that'll be a big revelation that we'll get at the end of the game. I don't know.
How does this hold up? Because this has been intriguing to me. Because I've thought to myself quite some time, probably since the launch of Clay Fighters, why aren't they doing more of this?
Because I think the reason why they don't do more of this is because literally how long it takes to make it. Because every single character, every single location in that game has literally been made from the ground up and recorded in stop motion. And obviously, and then partly obviously animated as well because it has to be still. But yeah, I think that's pretty wide. I think it's Slow Bros in the studio. This is a little German studio. It's their first game, and it is literally their first game because they have been working on this for 10 years.
My God.
And the thing is as well, because it's never going to make huge, sums of money. It'll probably sell well. It might sell 1 million copies. I think, hopefully, if it's lucky, that'd be good. But the thing is, it just doesn't have the return for how long it takes to create. It's absolutely wonderful. Like on terms of story, it's in terms of story and art direction and charm, it is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Gameplay is very, very minimal. Which is why it's nothing like Dave the Diver, which literally introduces new mechanics to you like every hour.
Oh my God. Do you know what? We'll get to that in my what you've been playing, but every single time I pop up from the water, there's a new speedboat in town giving me another chore. It's like, back off, guys. I haven't even mastered that diving gun. I don't know what it is about holding X and pressing trigger to fire, but I kind of want to. I find myself seeing a fish, thinking, "Oh yeah, I want a piece of its pesky quality." I hold down right trigger and then want to press X to fire. My brain struggles with that. Is it just me? Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. I think that's just. It does feel like an unusual. I think it's one of those things you probably have to get used to, but like in the last sort of 10 years, we've all kind of become accustomed to a universal controller scheme, like on any controller, like on Xbox or PlayStation, even on Steam if you want to use a controller on PC. We've all come so used to, a certain way how things are. Movements on the analogs. Left is sort of aim down sight, right trigger is shoot, blah, 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 blah. L1 is, throw grenades, circle is crouch, X is jump, etc. Right? And I think anything that sort of goes against the grain now does take a good legal 6 months for you to get used to anything different. Harold Halibut, for example, you run holding square. And I'm like, how flipping dare you?
Tell me they're remappable.
Press anything else other than clicking down on L3 to run. You know, it's it certainly takes a long time to get used to now because we've just become so, I don't know, I guess we all have. We've become so lazy as gamers. You know, think back to the PS1 days when
I was going to say PS1 to me, is actually quite a struggle to play these days because they were still working out the buttons, because the twin sticks hadn't really been incorporated in the way that we traditionally know it. That era, especially for 3D movement, is tough. You know, because
it's true. But you know what? I think it depends how much you used to play it, because I haven't bought many games this year. I've only bought Harold Halibut, Pacific Drive, which is another good game. I know you played it. And the other one is Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 Remastered, right? And I thought it was going to take me forever. You were legally obliged
to buy that trilogy because of your enigmatic history.
Exactly. You know, it's true. But yeah, I put like easy, like 150, 200 hours into that. And it was literally like, that is just probably the only game that I could switch back to, and it just felt instantly comfortable. A lot of my friends were like, no, I had to try the modern controls, and that was hard as well. And I tried the modern controls just out of curiosity, but that game it's grid system, you know, it's designed for that old tank control. So that is probably the only gaming series where I can go back. But you're right, anything else on PS1, Vagrant Story, L2 and R2 to look left and right, no thank you. What the hell are you doing?
That's the same. I used to always be I was always right back in the day a Pro Evo player. And they have different controls to FIFA. So when I eventually went over to FIFA, which is now obviously EAFC, right, I have to change controls to the Pro Evo controls. I cannot use, but they actually have a setting for it called alternate, because they knew all the players were coming over. So you just change it to alternate, and the button layout is as you would have had on Pro Evo. But I just cannot get my mind round pressing a different button. It just completely confuses me. You just get programmed into that way of what you expect the buttons to do for certain actions. You know, it's so hard to break it.
So many people miss goals because they were pressing circle when they should have been pressing square.
Yeah,
and vice versa.
Yeah.
I've not played football games for a while because I don't really follow the sport too much anymore. But I did back around that time, and I also went to pro and sort of changed all my all the teams to their correct names, etc. I do remember sort of it felt so right though, just pressing circle to shoot, and then all of a sudden it being on square felt so unnatural. But then when you're going back, you do have to switch those alternate controls.
So
Tell
weird,
me about the dedication of time one finds oneself having to input through a D-pad and a cursor the names of all the teams in the worldwide football leagues. Gentlemen.
Hours.
Yeah, but it's worth it in the end.
You got to remember the Pro Evos originally didn't have any licenses. So,
no, I know.
You know, so we used to go through and change the whole Premier League. So, Man Red, you change to Man United, you change all the players' names correctly.
I think when I came in, it was at Pro 4, so PS2 era. And I think they had one. Or I remember whatever it was, they had United and Arsenal. It was when Arsenal had like the burgundy kits, you know.
That's it, yeah.
They were the cover stars or something, weren't they?
Yeah, they had. I think they had Henri on the front of 4. I think.
I think it was at 5. I know. I just remember Lucy Ha being absolutely incredible, and never was in real life. For Man United. Yeah. I can't really speak too much. I've not followed the sport for like 4 years now, so I don't know what's going on with the whole EA 24.
I tell you what, that era of Evo box art is very iconic because they were kind of pushing the bus stops hard, the magazines hard. As soon as I see an Evo of that era, sort of PSP, PS2, it takes me back in time.
We used to. There's a lot of me and my friends used to all play Pro Evo religiously. We bought the new one every year, and we would discuss in depth who was going to be on the cover next year. Nowadays, no one, you just go and buy EAFC and that's it. You don't, but that was a big talking point. Who was going to be on the front cover? and sometimes you'd get a shock one, a player that was in the Premier League that was just an okay player would appear.
John
on
Barnes.
no, it was a bit after John Barnes, but no, it used to.
Dave Batty.
Oh, so it's a bit after Dave.
John
Batty.
Lukic.
Yeah, you're just shouting random names, the only ones you know because you don't follow football. Bobby Charlton.
He's got a Google tab. He's literally just Googled 80s footballers. 80s
that was the 90s Leeds team on it with those characters. Gary Speed.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Gary Speed. Wow,
that's a name
I've not heard. Yeah, that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
A long time.
Yeah. Long time. My God.
Before your father was born.
No, yeah. No, I don't. I get the same excitement now with the WWE games every year. See who's going to be the cover star.
Wow.
Get it too much.
I don't think they had anyone on 23, so I don't know what they're going to do for next time.
Hey,
this is for you, little special one.
Thank you very much.
So you talked about these.
I understood that reference.
Everyone got that reference. Even my mum was like, "Was it?" Don't say it, mum. Don't say it. Don't say it. Shh. You talked about these games that you picked up. Talk me through those this year. So you've had Tomb Raider, and that's seemingly ticked a couple of the boxes for you. What was the other one that you mentioned there?
Pacific Drive.
Let's talk about that, because through the lens of this, I want to talk to you about. Now, did you enjoy the game?
I did. A lot, actually, and it was very eye-opening for me in a way, because it's actually one of the titles that have been heavily compared to our game. Well, we've been compared to Pacific Drive. They're more popular, they're out fully.
Not round. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well,
Phil, edit that.
Yeah, cut.
Leave it in, Phil.
Oh, George. No, yeah, it was. It's very good. I will say one thing. I've sort of left it at like 80% complete, because it started to get to the point where I was like, okay, it was getting harder and it wasn't getting more enjoyable. And I think it's probably because I feel like, it's one of those things where I feel like I've missed certain mechanics here, because I feel like certain things should make more sense. But it's not, I don't think that's necessarily an issue with Ironwood. I think that's just a Greg issue, which
I would say I've had a similar experience with it. Like the mechanics weren't obvious to me. I really enjoyed the setting. I really enjoyed the premise. I really enjoyed the idea of the car. I really enjoyed the idea of kind of exploring this world and it being a little bit Twin Peaksy, not really making sense. There's a little bit of science, but
Pacific Northwest,
it's got that vibe to it. It's got that Days Gone wooded vibe to it.
Alan Wake too.
It's got that feeling. But what took me out of it, for me, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that enjoy these games and probably make more sense of it than I did, but I'd really been looking forward to the game. But getting out of my car with the pneumatic hammer driver to break some glass, hang on a minute, I'm using this to break glass. I'll just drive my car into it. I'll just smash it with a hammer. I don't know why I need the Gdumpfka. I understand.
Petition to make that is actually its official name. Yeah.
Gdumpfka. It's the noise. It's onomatopoeia.
Mate, the scrapper does as well.
The scrapper makes sense to me. It's cutting the things down, and admittedly, they appear in nice boxes of the component parts with the blueprint hood, which I do enjoy, but it kind of felt a little bit too non-sciencey for me within that world. It kind of had a disconnect in the storytelling of its own environmental system that kind of pulled me right out of it. Taking all my kit into a back room of this garage, I kind of wanted it to be more visceral. Let me put it that way. When I was fixing the car, I wanted to be more car mechanic simulator rather than me spraying my car paste.
I always felt that if anything, it was more visceral. I felt like the sort of like the, we're creatures of habit. So I think I always kind of enjoyed that loop of getting back and like that sort of relief and arrival, and then sort of taking it part, getting my checklist. Okay, I'll do my health, I'll do my fuel. What upgrades can I do with the matter that I've got? Right, fantastic. Let's do that. Okay, let's take those parts, recycle that. Da da da. I really enjoyed that cycle. Put the music on, go see what the dumpster's got for me.
Yeah.
I really
took me
enjoyed
out of
that
it
loop.
as well. I would have preferred
really?
if the dumpster hadn't burped like a 2005 wheelie bin from the Doctor Who episode Rose. I could be completely on board with it. Right?
Oh my gosh, what a great reference to Doctor Who.
And that's how that bin immediately made me feel. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they got the vibe right in that episode of Doctor Who, and I'm not sure they got the vibe right with the burping bin because everything else about it felt so real and so kind of twisted and weird. A burping bin was a bit like, ooh, this feels out of place, just a little bit.
I'm furious because I know when I inevitably go back to Pacific Drive, all I'm going to think about is a stupid burping bin from Doctor Who episode 1 Rose. This was the bad Doctor Who.
Yeah. And what a way to relaunch a series.
Especially because there's mannequins in the game as well.
Yeah.
They explode, granted, and don't just sort of come alive and walk towards you. But they are terrifying when they have that sort of weeping angel effect.
The scariest mannequin I think I've ever come across was in Condemned 1, Criminal Origin.
Oh yeah, whoa, what a fantastic survival horror game.
What a insert nearly said blue word here game. Edging it very close. Edgelord that you are, right to that hard PG 12 rating.
What happened to you, George? You used to be so PG, honestly.
I haven't even said anything.
You made enough references.
I've skirted
even not today, just general in the podcast these days.
This is my moment, isn't it? This is where I meet my comeuppance. It's like, look what you've become. I'm so sorry.
You've changed.
Don't say that, because that'll stick with me. That will haunt me.
I'll say just before we came online, before we came on air, that you were you used to be PG, kind of like the Pixar films, and now you're PG like the classic Disney films. Always thrown in a knob reference.
Oh, well, I'll throw it in there. I don't mind. Okay, right.
Caught that, Phil?
Yeah,
no, leave it in, Phil.
Phil's going to cost a fortune.
We're not edgy enough. We're not edgy enough. That's what I'm getting. That's what the data's telling me.
That's it. We need more attitude era.
We do. I probably need to set our GT up for a verbal. I don't know. I'm going to set a table on fire and slam him through it because we're still in the what you've been playing section. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask RGT what he's been playing, but I'm going to ask him to keep it abridged, keep it brief. If we end up talking, you've been on holiday, hurt me.
Well, because I've been on holiday, you'll be pleased to know it's not very much. I took the Switch on holiday, so
very good.
EAFC 24 won't go into that.
That's.
You don't want me talking. Just a separate career mode on the Switch. So I won't talk about that. You're not interested. So I'll skirt over it.
I understand that the Switch version is like for like. Console.
Get your money for nothing and your bed graphics for free.
No, it's not even. I mean, it's very, very good compared to the old FIFA games that were on the Switch, which were awful. This is actual content is identical to the PS5. So if I play career mode, so you've got everything you do on the PS5. Animations are less, they're a bit jittery, and your frame rate is obviously less. But graphically, obviously it's not as good as the console versions, but still looks very good for a Switch and more than playable. So that's nice having, you can take that big career I'm doing on the go with you, and very good. So and how much it is as well. It's it's less than £20 now, I think, so you can pick that up for. So
as long as the content's there as well.
It's been absolutely pummeled in the sales recently. Is that since PS gave it away? It
was obviously going to go on there because it dropped dramatically in price on all platforms just before it came on to Plus. So that was probably why. Just one last final push before giving it away to the bigger player base for free, I suppose. So I've also been playing Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Is that the one with the car?
Yeah, it's got a car in it. It's odd because I've never really been into Kirby games. Never interested me whatsoever.
It's a good one, this is.
Yeah, but Mrs. RGT picked this up for me for my birthday back last month. So I thought while I was away, I'd have a play on that.
What
Really
game
good.
did you play on when being driven down to your holiday by your amazing, talented, and beautiful wife?
I prefer to say chauffeured, but I was playing mostly in the car. I played EAFC, and then I played the other two games, which I'll talk about in a minute, on when I was in the holiday home, being waited on. Champagne in one hand and switch in the other.
How the other half live.
Wow, you know.
Now I know where the Zutamax money went.
Yep. Yeah, so Kirby, very good. I've never really been into Kirby games, but this was very different. It's odd because it's like Kirby in an apocalyptic world, or our world, which is quite strange, but great mechanics. Great new mechanics always to find, and the things you can do. Almost got that Mario 3D world vibe with the way the maps are. And also it's quite an approachable game. It's not too tough.
I was going to say my takeaway from it was James the Work Experience Boy got it. He loved it, finished it. The thing that sticks with me, I think, from not only the press at the time, but also as a tool within the game, you could hoover up a car and then drive around the. Yeah. Is it that one? Because a couple came out around the same time.
Yes, it is that one.
I thought that was actually quite fresh.
Yeah, and you can go back on your levels. There's bonus levels as well, but you can go back on your levels and you'll find, for instance, like there's a guy throwing fireballs at you. So you can eat the guy who's throwing the fireballs. Now you have a fireball weapon.
Yeah.
But you can keep that for as long as you want that, and you can get rid of a weapon and then get another one. But sometimes you'd go through a stage and you'd have a list of things to do in that stage. Rescue a certain amount of the hostages that are taken. You can get them out of the cages, beat the boss, blah, blah, blah. But then you'll sometimes see there'll be, for instance, a part you can't get to, but then you realise in the level you could have took over another boss, which was, say, ice. Then you could use that ice to put a fire out on a door to then get to those bits. So you can go back and play the levels to unlock the bit. So it's quite addictive. It's a great, entry to start on, because I think anyone could play it from young kids right up. You've got two levels of gameplay. You can play a little bit harder and an easier one. But yeah, just great fun. Really relaxed game. Really enjoyed that. I didn't think I would, if I'm honest. But yeah, really good. I'm about halfway through, I think, at the moment. And then completely different, the last game I've been playing was Signalis on the Switch. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Is this the like sort of like overview, like survival horror game?
If you think of the view of it, it's like the original Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
If you think of gameplay, it's like Resident Evil, very closely to Resident Evil. So you've got
this is on Switch.
Do you mean Metal Gear or Metal Gear Solid? Sorry, just to.
Sorry, the look of the game from the angle you play from is like Metal Gear Solid. But
top down kind of.
Yeah, like a top down, not quite isometric, but top down.
Yeah.
But the actual gameplay and the game itself and the story is more like Resident Evil.
How is it? Because this is something that's been on my wish list for a long time, and I've never got round to taking the plunge yet.
So far, very good. Very good. I think it's quite a short game. And it's one of them where it just throws you in. The story is, you have to find the story as you go. So you're just going to start with no story base at all to it. And you'll be thinking, what is going on here? But it'll unravel as you find notes and find bits. And it's that very PS1 style of gameplay. So there'll be hidden code somewhere. So you'll go through the different rooms and you think, that code could go back and open that door, and you work your way back, go to that door. And as the story unfolds, and then you'll get weapons, and yeah, it's quite creepy. Graphically, I love that style. I think it's gorgeous. I think they've done a fantastic job. Runs really well on the Switch. It's that almost a lot of polished early 3D, but it's also got a CRT filter over it. So when you look at the Switch screen, if you're in handheld mode, it looks like you're playing a CRT. It's really, really
amazing.
Good. Yeah, it looks really, really good. And then it's got like these sort of pixel art anime cutscenes.
Yeah.
Look really good. So far, brilliant game. Yeah, really, really good. I was lost for a while, but never was frustrated.
That's mostly. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying I was lost at first, never frustrated with it because I just wanted to know more about the story. I wanted to find more out. There's even little bits where you'll have to examine an area that will go into first person mode.
Yeah.
You can look around, check some drawers, look some bits, and then you'll zoom back out. Yeah, I think it's really good. It's almost like a love letter to Resident Evil, the original. It's got that vibe, even your menu screen where you have to combine your bullets with your gun. It's got all that.
How does it
vibe.
compare to the games you mentioned earlier, the Daymares? I know it's different, but they're going for a similar vibe.
Yeah, I haven't played the Daymares yet. I think the Daymares are more of a sort of tongue-in-cheek, sort of a modern retake of those stories. And I know, obviously, they've had to have their own sort of story because they couldn't clone Resident Evil 2 for obvious reasons. But I haven't played them yet. Whereas this is more of, I would say, rather than a remake, it is a game based in a similar way in a similar style. It's almost like Resident Evil fans have made their sort of version of a Resident Evil game. And I think it's really good to see, to make it even feel quite creepy, which it does. Odd little jump scare in there. I think it's really good. I love the atmosphere they set, the flickering lights as you go through corridors on this sort of smashed spaceship. Really good, and it just makes you want to learn more about the story. So
that's cool.
I think this is another one. Yeah, Mrs. RGT, another one she got me for my birthday, which I hadn't heard of it until she picked it up.
Delivering hidden gems.
I think
indeed.
Yeah, she'd done her research and found this one out, and I was like, "Ooh!" So I sat down and started playing this, and was really intrigued, really good. I think if you're a Resident Evil fan, get it because you'll really enjoy it.
So it was
like your own personal Steam curator.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you said, "Is she Steam curious?" I was like, I don't know where this is going. So it was able to scare you in the full daylight on the M4 just outside of Gloucester. That is a mark of a great game.
Indeed. I tell you what.
It's M42 actually, but yeah.
What an absolute dweeb.
Birmingham, not Gloucester. Get it right.
I don't know what I was thinking.
But yeah, I really love that AA studios and some indie studios are sort of going back and looking more at the sort of classical like survival horror because they are peak in terms of level design. They are my ultimate favorite. I love original Resident Evil. I think the Resident Evil 2002 remake that they did for GameCube is probably one of the best games ever made. I love that people are revisiting this genre because it is classic. Especially, I don't know if you're aware of a game that's quite recently as well called Crow Country.
I've heard of it.
Can I just intersperse with the fact that that game, the remake and the remake of Zero, or the refresh of Zero, are so criminally overlooked in the talks when people they're streaming to. I mean, Twitch streamers of 2 and 3, 10 a penny, and that the follow on to 4 again, it all adds into it. But no one goes back and starts with 0 and 1. Everyone starts with 2.
Exactly, this is true. I was in a Discord server the other day, and a friend of mine said, yeah, they need to remake Resident Evil 1 properly first. And then I went, whoa. Resident Evil 1 already has a proper remake, and it's probably one of the best games ever made. How dare you? But no, I understand where they're coming from. People want it to be modernized. It's still sort of...
They want it to tip its hat to more the stylings of 2 and 3.
Yes,
and the remakes fit what they were going for in 2 and 3, but I feel like the remake of 1 really fits what they're going through, what they were going for with the first game.
Yeah.
And for that, tank controls, or like the fact they're not there, but they are there, that you have to rely on them sometimes to get yourself out of a corner or a line above an item you may, God forbid, want to pick up quickly. That is a little frustrating, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
well, I think it's a lot of things.
Still part of the charm.
I think with these modern survival ones, especially like Signalis as well, if you remake games, obviously the tank controls, the fixed cameras, that's quite hard for people to stomach nowadays if they're going into it fresh. Whereas I think Signalis have that, it's got that vibe of Resident Evil. If you've played Resident Evil, you'll think, oh, this is just like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But it's got the controls more. You think you're playing an old game. It's sort of it's under that illusion you're playing an old game, but you've got the modern controls. So it's almost like a twin stick shooter when you've got your gun, so you can aim and shoot. But you're in a fixed room and through the doors, and it will scroll rather than your fixed cameras. So they've almost used, and like I said to start with, it's almost like that playing an old Metal Gear Solid game, like the original, but you're playing a Resident Evil within that gameplay loop.
Would you stomach not a remake, but a remaster of the remake, possibly smoothing up some of the gaps in the controls?
What do you mean for Resident Evil 1?
Yeah, the remake of 1.
They did that, didn't they? They had a remaster of the remake for PS4.
Yeah, but the control issues still. I think they need to fully commit to tank.
Oh, I see.
Because sometimes I find myself having to use the analog to get to a certain place, and then bizarrely have to switch to the D-pad for the tank controls for the final finesse. I feel that would struggle now. Maybe is that what holding people back?
I think if they was going to do it, they'd just full on remake it like in the same vein as they have done 2, 3, and 4. I don't think they'd be going to lose
the nuances of the rooms and.
I know. Is it a sacrifice worth making? Probably not. But let's be honest, if they are going to do it, it's probably going to be to that kind of extent. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see
quite a short game. I think if you take away the control issues, it would be quite a short game.
Take away the control issues and make it actually, easy to
10 minutes in, done and out.
That's the way that
I replayed it.
Certain people like it.
And the friction of the controls was what elevated the difficulty big time.
Yeah, true.
If it wasn't for that, I think it would be. 0 was easy for the fact that it felt fully committed. 1 was, I don't know, maybe it's muscle memory, I don't know, or the way I remember the first time I played that game at launch, and because you didn't know anything and no one knew anything about it, there was so much death from misadventure. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And also, I think the controls that add that scare factor, because you're in a fixed camera. A zombie would get up and come towards you, and you're panicking, trying to aim, thinking, "Oh God, he's going to get me!" And that was that fear factor. So yeah, the tank controls did add. Would that, if you fully remade that 3D, would that take that fear factor away because you just straight lined up bang?
I think it would. Also, the aiming within the 3D environment of an isometric game was insulting. The headshot, where the bullets land on the body, God only knows what's going on there.
No control. On his hands. I think I think one that did actually quite well with the tank controls was did you play Tormented Souls from a few years ago? That was like a nice little callback to sort of one PS2.
Yeah, I never played it, but I heard good things about that.
Oh yeah, he's feverishly writing it down his hidden gems catalogue.
Oh yes, but yeah, I would recommend checking that out as well, especially if you're into. See, I've always called it Stellaris just because I never heard it said out loud until you pronounce it. What is it? Sorry, RGT.
I just call it Signalis, but I mean I could be wrong.
I'm talking about the whole of the game. I said Stellaris, which is the whole thing. Sorry,
that's the game I've toyed with. Stellaris.
Right.
That's the space overview game, isn't it?
It is, and here I am getting confused between the two, and it turns out they're different games.
I was initially thinking when he started waffling on about this game he'd been playing, I initially thought he was going to tell me about this deep space tactical RPG game. It was like,
which is why I had to confirm with him which one he was talking about.
I had to push the cat back really far on my head because I was like, RGT's been playing this in the car on the way. Turns up looking like Dark Helmet from Spaceballs. Carried out the car on a flying sledge by Mrs. RGT. He's in stasis mode.
Set to go the desert.
Yeah, literally.
Well, let me regale you with my gaming history this week. There's been a lot of F1 Manager 23.
Ooh, okay. So interested because I've only just recently started watching Drive to Survive because my partner is big into F1. Is it worth picking up at this stage? To sort of, or is it worth waiting for like a
Well, 24's out because I'm always on the white hot edge of cutting edge gaming. Therefore, I'm playing last year's
23.
edition this year.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Okay, hear me out though, because I totally forgot about where we were in the release cycle of these games and picked up 23 in a deep sale. I thought I've waited. I'll get this. I think I purchased the original for $15 and this one the same. They've added a few things in that I find adds a little bit of complexity to the racing. Let's answer this first question. Would I recommend it to you? Yes. The F1 driving games are obviously nothing like Drive to Survive, where this does maybe capture some of the element of the teams working away in the background, the management of the pit crew, their training, the management of the car, the development of the car. It's basically Football Manager, but with a nod to engineering. In terms of, development of the car, how you're executing the car in the race, yada, yada, yada. If you don't like F1, this is going to kill you. Stone dead. Paralyzed from the eyebrows down. If you do, yeah, I think it'll interest you. It's got several different tutorial styles, I would say. Returning manager, new manager, experienced manager, which I've found to be interesting. I came back as returning manager and it just sort of light gloss over some things and it was like, oh yeah, I do remember this from last time and I do remember this and okay, fair enough, and away I go. It does feel harder. The AI is definitely more challenging. They've cleaned up the way the vehicles race. In the first one, you could see the game almost doing paper, scissors, stone to work out how you were going to get round. As they went into a corner, you could feel a dice roll in the background as the cars kind of crunched, sort of pixelated round each other and took the position. That's been very much...
Say Formula 1 Baldur's Gate 3 doing a bit of a crossover there. Nice.
Yeah, basically. They've very much smoothed that interaction out now. So it's a little bit more smooth as you play it. You don't really feel like you're dice rolling for half a lap to work out who had the better engineering team stat. You've got deep 6-sided dice. You've gone all in, plus the tire.
Give me a handbrake check.
Factor variable.
Yeah, interesting. I will have to check it out.
Yeah, I think if you can find this one or maybe the original, it's CEX or on a sale. If you're mildly curious, give it a go.
Yeah, it's something I'm starting to look into because I don't follow football anymore. But Formula 1 was actually kind of interesting to me when I was watching it. I was like, oh, watch it with you. Why not? Because my partner was, and I found myself getting into it. And then also it was like, oh, hello. Formula 1 2023 is on PlayStation Plus over here. It wasn't really the side that I was interested in. It was more the racing, which is like, I can't do that. That's rubbish. Yeah. So yeah, the management side does sound more. I
actually think that the manager game is something that you could couch co-op together. Obviously, if she's got an interest and you've got an interest, pick a team. I would say if you want to learn the game, you're going to have to pick Red Bull.
Well, yeah. Incidentally, my uncle works for Red Bull. Incidentally. Yeah, the Formula 1, not the sports drink. Just to clarify. He actually works for the team. But yeah.
He works for the Soapbox Derby.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that's that's interesting.
Yeah, he actually works on the aerodynamics part of the whole shindig. I don't know. I'm still learning about the sport, so hey, I'll probably look into it. Again, me and my partner always like to play sort of couch co-op games.
It takes two a couple of times. Streaming F1 Manager and him critiquing the lack of realism, I think would be. Well, you could retire, couldn't you? I can't believe you haven't utilised such an asset. You could become the F1 Manager's Twitch guru.
What, me and my uncle?
Yeah. You could bring him on as a guest spot.
Yeah, yeah. And then, expert analysis back in the paddock. Yeah, get him breaking down your race afterwards, tell you what you should have done, what shoulda, woulda, coulda. Cheers, uncle.
Proper headset with the mic as well. Just like
the other game,
principle.
Oh. A load of TVs on the wall. You could do that. Set your studio up as though it's the pit wall of a track. Use your PC to multi-screen it. Greg, don't let me down. You've got your powers. You've got the power to do this.
Man, the pressure's on now.
The most famous F1 manager streamer of one of one.
I'd like to think there is somebody else doing this, but who knows? Maybe.
Probably with a pit wall, the whole bag of tricks set up. Their mum running by with a car on a board every 1 minute, 26 seconds, depending on the circuit. Realism is key.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Truly immersive experience. Proper like full on like shell of a Formula One car just in the living room. Bam.
Playing this week as Red Bull, can't find a suitable girlfriend down the local boozer, so his mum's in as Jerry Halliwell. There's some very awkward looking hugs. Some very awkward looking hugs, but no lip on lip action. At least not that we can see. Let me ask you this question. Have you been bitten by the Helldivers bug? And if so, why not?
So I purchased this just before. So I was in Poland last week, and I purchased it just before I went.
Ooh.
So I bought it, but I actually haven't dove in yet. Excuse the pun.
No, I like it. That's the terminology that the cool kids would use.
Yeah, so I have got it, and I do plan to just organising. I wasn't as brave as you. I understand that you bought it and literally went in with a couple of strangers. And I'm far too millennial to do that. So
I would say
I will wait for friends, and then I'll go in with friends.
If you want to get dirty, you've just got to turn up somewhere on your own and be led by a couple of strangers, either into or out of your first diving experience.
This is the way, huh?
This is the way. Learn it with strangers. Then when you turn up experience of friends, they're going to be nothing but surprised. And maybe a little bit intrigued by this sort of voraciously appetite, handsome gentleman that seems to know all the right moves and stratagems.
We're still talking about Helldivers?
120%. Now, Helldivers, I've also been playing Helldivers on the Vita. I spoke about this last week, but I'm going there again.
Oh, the first one, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like, it's like a Mars Mini. Between not a fun size, not a snack size, a mini. It's like a Mars Mini for Helldivers 2. If you've got access to it and it's cheap, I implore you to get it. The storytelling behind the scenes that's in the other one is in this as well, so it's got that RPG element to it. What else have we been playing? Oh, look out, Bad Boy's in town. Turned up, wanted to feel like a bigger boy, wanted to get his chest out like a pro gamer. He's installed Elden Ring. Not really got much further.
Round of applause, everyone. I hope everyone's clapping. Come on.
And I had a little poke around, and to be honest with you, it took me maybe half a dungeon before I realised I invoked my Bloodborne experience into this. It's the game the FromSoftware game that I've had the most longevity with, and I started to see some similarities. The animations for the hits, the distance needed before your combo starts to take effect, the distance gap that you need to close before being able to get into the combo of taking down smaller enemies. It was like, actually, do you know what? I've got this. I can do this. So I see.
The bug has got you. It's got its claws in on you.
One
right?
thing, to be fair, it's always been able to do so. It's just I find FromSoftware to be a very unusual house. It's one that I've likened to the Emperor's New Clothes of gaming studios. Don't forget, when they've been a software developer for some time, and it's only in the recent sort of pantheon where. And it really only felt like it was when IGN kind of made a bit of a misstep on the review that all the I'm a proper gamers surfaced. And to be honest, Elden Ring I found to be probably the most accessible of them all to me so far. Maybe Bloodborne is probably slightly more accessible in terms of the controls and the loop of like, this. It's not accessible in the fact that you've got this big open world and you've got no idea where to go or what to do. You talk of the people when you were talking of where the games had the shine taken off you by the fact that you know how they're put together now, and developers shine a little light here just to subtly influence you on where to go. If any of those guys from Far From Home are a little bit sort of unoccupied one afternoon, maybe send them down from software just to give me a little clue. maybe one
Please,
firefly
anything.
just generally buzzing in roughly the right direction of where to go. I do
just
find
an NPC just going.
I'm not saying how far it is away, but generally just keep mithering in this direction.
It does have that, but it's very, very subtle. Unless you know that that's what it's telling you to do, you will completely miss it. Because when you look on the map, they're called graces, I think, in Elden Ring, not bonfires.
Yeah.
They have like a little directional sort of sprite of light heading in. But unless you know what that thing is telling you to do, you don't know that it's guiding you to the...
That's what I assumed it was trying to tell me yesterday. In my very brief playthrough or attempt at playing. And it sent me in the direction. Stumbled across these guards. First one. Down. Right. Elden Ring. Schmelden Ring. See me walk through this bad boy, zero death. Stand back, hold my cup of tea, mumsy. Look at this. Next guy. Roll button. Rolled up to him. Down. Done. Yeah, I'm feeling like a pro. Mumsy, get the Excel spreadsheet. Let me write a guide for game facts. roll into this I want the ASCII art of the lot, Mumsy. I want to look like a pro. Rolled into this next sort of settlement area. Well, saw in the distance. In fact, my girlfriend said, he's getting out a horn. Before I could come up with a subtle innuendo, he'd blown that bad boy.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And all his mates turned up, and I was like, don't worry, though. Because...
all his mates and his dog. In the very literal sense.
All his mates and his dog, and all his mates who've got proper bigger boys' pocket money because they've got a newspaper round and they've bought the bigger shoulder pads as well. He's there, aren't they? He's like, your timing couldn't be any worse, my friend, but don't worry. Before I knew it, blood loss appeared on the screen, and I was kind of at the centre of what I can only describe as a little bit of misadventure at the back of the youth centre gone wrong. You know, there was a crowd of guys around me. I thought they were my friends. I let them do things to me I shouldn't let friends do, at least not in that environment. And all of a sudden, I was dead. Pan out, local newspaper scandal, no names mentioned. But, you know, if you're from the area, you know who it was.
Familiar side.
This has got Dave written all over it.
And it was a harsh welcome to the world of Elden Ring, I have to admit. But, you know, if I know anything from Souls-like games or from software games is, if you push in one area and you're getting a bit of pushback...
don't go that way.
Do 180 and go somewhere else. So I remember the first time I played one of these games on PS3, and it was like, I just don't understand. In any other normal game, going here to fight the skeletons in the graveyard would make sense. Actually, what this game's telling me is, you're not the right level for this. How can someone be so dumb and walk into this literal hell on earth this often and not try maybe that door?
I love that subtle, organic gameplay design by... telling you which way you're meant to go by how effed you're going to get by going that certain way. Like, certain games do it so well. Like, that is Dark Souls 1. Yeah, go to the graveyard, skeletons will wreck you. Go down some steps, some ghosts will wreck you. But you start walking up the hill, and there's like easy enemies placed like very nicely apart. And you just go, I assume I'm meant to go this. I really appreciate, rather than going, go this way. Like, I really appreciate that sort of
And the weird thing is, when you stumble across those enemies, you say, as you say, the spacing, but bizarrely the spacing enough to learn the execution of the animation into the actual contact of the blow.
Yeah.
It's an idiot like me can walk all the way through that, though, and not even realise that's what's happening. I would also say...
that's Dark Souls.
Have modern games watered us down so much to the point where you can spend an hour on Dark Souls and feel like you're not progressing at all, even though actually in the world of Dark Souls and the way the mechanics work, you are. It's not as rewarding as, like, into new, well-acted cutscene with motion capture. I feel comfortable here.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing, and Dark Souls have always been sort of tagged as this old school experience for the modern audience that do miss that lack of hand holding where you do have to figure things out. Because, we were talking about PS1 games earlier, but, you go back and play a PS1 game, they were hard. Like, they really did not care about, sort of like welcoming you to a franchise, make you feel comfortable and guiding through. This is how you jump. This is how you crouch. It literally just did throw, a lot of times, did just throw you straight in at the deep end. Because it's
maybe
that whole
in the manual. But it wasn't in the game, which I used to find hilarious about older games.
I played through Tomb Raider 3 again recently via the remastered. But I remember playing that back in the day going, how the hell would have I ever figured this out without a manual? Like, literally, I would never have figured this out without a manual. I think now, like, I thought, I'll be interested to see playing again if it's my adult brain can actually figure these things out. No, it couldn't. Yeah. No, I still think a manual would have been necessary.
Wow.
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah.
So there,
it's just how we are now. We do modern gaming. We do need that bit of handholding because time is important, and we don't have the time to. I
think a little bit. I know everyone's going to get on there like, I'm never listening to the UCP again. George is an idiot. Don't know what he's talking about, and probably quite rightly level. But one thing that I would say that would help more, maybe casuals or maybe even gamers that are maybe intimidated by the whole process, would just be a little bit more of that gentle pull in the right direction, maybe for the first couple of hours, so someone can get not fully conversant with some of the mechanics in the background, and maybe not even to fully understand them, at least know generally which direction to kind of mosey on down in, with a little bit more subtlety than a piss trail coming out of a bonfire.
Be nice. Maybe.
But I'm looking forward to Wrecking House.
It depends which way you go. Would you prefer that kind of experience, or would you prefer like the Ubisoft open world experience where it's like a million markers on your map?
No. I wouldn't want them to change it too much. I wouldn't want them to go too insane, but just some more gentle way of getting to that control refining area that we talked of earlier, where actually I can feel myself being... Because when you die so harshly so often, I don't actually feel like you're learning as much as you would do if you'd got a little bit further and then died. So actually, I did actually almost get the hang of that before I got killed.
Right.
Whereas a lot of the time, it's like dead. What did I learn?
Don't die.
Don't die.
That's enough.
Nothing else. And then it might be another hour before you kind of find the area where the baddies are space enough to where you can... Oh, right, okay, so hit it 4 times with this frequency between the button presses. Actually makes me feel like a boss. I wish that had happened to me at the beginning.
All I'll say is for now is ignore the big guy on the horse, the big golden guy for now.
Why put him there? He's the golden beacon of get wrecked. Because it's that the cutscene before you get the woman come on the what's like the Elden Ring, the famous Elden Ring steed, kind of sniffs at your hand, and you come out of that area and you see what looks like a 4-legged steed with someone on it. Now, traditional gaming tells you, that'll be my friend that's just come out the dungeon that I've been in. Mm-hmm. Let's go see what they're up to. Barbara, if you wouldn't mind, let's get reacquainted. As you're halfway across this field shouting Barbara, rummaging in your pocket to see if this strange deer-like creature might enjoy a sugar cube, some badass knight decides he wants to make sure your head's no longer acquainted with your body, and he comes at you with full...
health bar, boss health bar and everything, yeah.
Yeah, full... Yeah.
So, welcome to Elden Ring. Here's a boss. Good luck.
It'd be like coming out the deck.
It's like at one point people realise they made a mistake. So what people do realize people made a mistake is when they see the big giant health bar.
Loading health bar, buffering. Like, oh, shoot. Yeah. It'd be like the Deku Tree wanting to wreck you as a sign of like welcome to the world. It's like welcome in, young traveller. Comes out. Elden Ring version of the Deku Tree comes out. He's 400 foot tall. His roots are massive. Doesn't skip leg day legs.
No. My advice would be just skip him for now and don't travel at night. That's all I'll say for now, and just try and find your way around Limgrave.
To be honest, I play it with my nightlight on. I'm that intimidated.
I mean, don't play it at nighttime in game. Just to clarify.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe if you are going up against that boss, don't do it at nighttime. No.
My Mac Tracker Mask nightlight doing a full shift down there just to make sure I don't get too scared.
Brilliant.
I think that's pretty much within reason covered off the what you've been playing, and thank you, because I think we've used that as a medium to probe a little bit into you, if I may be so bold. Not more than a couple of knuckles, but maybe just to the tip of the cuticle. But we
just a knuckle or two.
No, it wasn't. No, it was just to the cuticle.
Okay.
I'm not an absolute animal.
Wow. Not at first.
Downstairs, outside. Come on, it's been...
Phil's going to need to take some annual leave after this.
Yeah. He's going to be well off, I know that.
He's going to sew this show back together like the Bayeux tapestry. You'll never see where the bits were that got cut out.
Wonderful.
Greg Cummings, enough of the innuendo. That's genuinely your name.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately.
To be fair, you're either going to get into video games or adult industry entertainment. And I think you chose the wrong path, if I'm honest with you. If rumours from the Farmerton FC change room are to be believed, you chose the wrong path. Debs Babs. She gets PTSD when you rock up at the counter, I tell you that. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, clearly she hasn't been searching the right name. Who's to say that I only chose the one career path, George? I have many aliases out there. See, you would think Greg Cummings would be the alias I take to the adult industry, but no, that was a red herring.
Oh, wow. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm seeing the mole placement, and I'm thinking my subscription to the OnlyFans of Womb Warrior was a mistake. I now realise it was the best move I ever made. A lot's happened since you were last here. Seemingly, you've dipped your toe, or certainly more than that, into the adult film profession. But let's keep that to one side. Greg Cummings, community manager. Talk to me about how you managed to make that step into the world, because give me a little bit of an overview, because obviously we had you on before as part of the Enigmatic Productions family, where you were heading up their gaming content, if memory serves. It feels such a long time ago. And then all of a sudden you come swinging out of the woodwork with a job at Far From Home as the community manager for Forever Skies, a game, to be honest with you, that certainly wet my whistle along the way. And I actually prefer to think of it as Subnautica meets No Man's Sky meets Slipstream.
Here we go with more Slipstream. And actually, Subnautica is actually one of our biggest inspirations for the game. Yeah, alongside Raft and Green Hell. But we'll come back on. I'll come back to your original question. Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy time. So it happened. I joined the industry in 2021, and that happened completely out of nowhere. I didn't apply for any roles within the industry. I was doing the content creation with Enigmatic alongside Ed and Johan. Two boys who I absolutely adore. Shout out if they're listening. I'm sure they will be.
Of course they are. Harvey Retro just jumped up, span around, got down, did a little ditty on his keyboard. He's loving it.
Heck yeah. Like to hear it. But yeah, I was doing that for the longest time. And a friend of mine, Sadie Jarvis, she was the community manager for Untold Tales, who are a publisher based in Wrocław in Poland. But she was a friend of mine who I'd known through my PlayStation community. who are fans of PlayStation Access and PlayStation UK's YouTube channel. So she was heading up that community. Then she got a job in the industry. She left, and I sort of took over, half enigmatic and half doing the PlayStation Access stuff. So alongside a full-time job at a home base, I was also a dad, doing enigmatic content creation, both streaming and videos, and also doing sort of unofficial community management for them. Anyway, she got a job, like I said, at Untold Tales, and Far From Home and their studio, two of their heads were talking to each other, and they said that they needed a community manager over at Far From Home. And Jarvis, she went, "Oh, I do actually know a guy." That was obviously me. They reached out. She gave my details. She said, "Hey, you don't mind? I'll give you these guys your details. They're interested. They're looking for a community manager." I thought, okay, obviously this must be a scam. There's no way, I'm going to get in with this. But I looked it up and everything was legit. It looked amazing. Forever Skies. It wasn't called Forever Skies at the time. It was called. It still.
Hang on a minute. Revealed.
Sure. Okay.
Project Oxygen.
Very good. Yes, Project Oxygen. That was its working title before we revealed the project. He's got it. He's done his homework. You love to see it.
You have to.
The listeners aren't seeing the smug face after either. Hang on. Project Oxygen.
Oxygen. There you go. Yeah.
Do you know what? I tried. I failed.
No, you didn't fail. You succeeded with flying colours.
Phil's going to cut this bit out.
No, not at all. No, so yeah, there you go. Project Oxygen. So they reached out to me, and I would say, you know what, I'm going to go do the interview. There's no way in hell am I going to get this. This is my first interview. I wasn't even thinking about applying to anything in the industry. I want to do a few more years of content creation before I even thought about it. And yeah, I did the interview. I thought, hey, you know what? Nothing's going to come of this, but interview experience in video games is like priceless. I've got to do this. Something I've always wanted to do. I was a little bit nervous. Just was very much myself. Then that went really well, surprisingly. So I was like, okay, they want to show me a bit more of the game, so signed a few NDAs. Then I went off and did a few other little things, like I had to do like a little video answering a few questions. Well, they sent me some questions they wanted me to answer in our next meeting because I was a content creator and had video editing experience in software. I did it a bit more creatively with a video. Then did a few things where I had to meet the team, did another presentation, and it was it's a long process, but I understand it because it was my first job that I was applying for within the industry. And yeah, it passed with flying colors. And I think community management just really does suit me. It's that really great entry point from people who did do streaming and content into actually working in game dev. And it's been such a great way to enter the industry because it's a smaller startup studio. Forever Skies is their first title, but the devs that work there, they've all had plenty of AAA experience, so had all that experience there. But also, like the studio Far From Home's ethos is like a very sort of like flat structure. So there's no real hierarchy. Obviously, there are bosses there who sort of make the decision, the ultimate decisions, but anyone can sort of influence like the project or how we do things in the studio. And
so a cooperative style of
absolutely. It's been like I could not have joined a better starting studio like in my career in games.
To that point, at the beginning, we talked about what you've been playing, and you said how you'd obviously seen behind the curtain through the means of that. Do you think that community creation or community manager for, as you say, a larger studio would have kept the curtain closed because you wouldn't have had this? You would be more of a mark than you would have, to use the wrestling terminology.
More of a mark. I love it. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Because people within, the thing is, if you're working for, like, let's say another Polish game dev studio, say if you're working for a CD Projekt or a Techland, you're a community manager. You focus just on community stuff. Even not even the social media. They'll probably have separate people to actually operate their social media platforms as well. Yeah. Even TikTok now, like being a TikTok admin is just like one job. But working for a smaller studio where there are, like I say, there's 32, I believe, total now. you do wear a lot of hats. So, community management is part of my role. Marketing is just as much part of my role. Creating assets, doing streams, creating sort of semi-monthly devlogs. But also as well, on looking on the other side as well, like I actually have a lot more of a hands-on creating content and playing the game more than what people would in a large studio would do. I was at a summit called Digital Dragons in Krakow last week. And I was listening to the marketing team from CD Projekt and how they went through everything with Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And like they were saying like how if they wanted to create a certain asset for a certain video or a trailer, they would have to send, the request to the production team a couple of months in advance to say, we want to show off this on this date. For me, I can literally just go into our editor. I can create the asset that I need to record it on OBS and have it ready that day.
Yeah.
So you get a lot more of an insight, but as well as that, because we have like that big sort of like the project is like a joint effort. Being an English native, like it's always nice to assist with like narrative design if it's needed, or play testing as well, helping QA find certain bugs or replicate bugs. So it's not just community management. I'm community manager by title, but because I work for a smaller studio, you do so many things that I can say I've done this, I've dabbled in this, that, the other. I'm not C++. I'm not doing like any like coding. Please do not let me code your game. Any studio that might be listening, that would not go well. But
please do. You get the full Jesus moment where you just start typing. You don't know where the code's coming from. You just it is you.
It's just there. It's automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The greatest game ever made is ready to flow from you.
Well, it's apparently you don't have to be an amazing programmer. You just need to know some basics. You can just bake stuff. It might be terrible, but you can always do that. There are ways to do it. I think for now I'm quite happy with just doing with what I'm doing.
In the modern world with AI the way it is, and we've seen that the latest Unreal Engine is certainly giving people a lot more procedurally generated solutions graphically to problems that they may have incurred. Is that something that you can see allowing someone like you to create a game in the future? I'm not saying someone like you as in you don't have the capability, but certainly allows people to maybe take that next evolutionary step that would have taken them, maybe have to go and broaden their skills more.
Do you mean me personally, or do you mean
you personally, or someone at your experience level within games development? They've come in on the fringes. Are these AI and sort of graphics engine creation kits becoming so available and understandable that you could see yourself being able to take another leap into an industry, or are you where you are?
I think using AI, bit of a taboo term in the industry, and rightfully so, because we're looking at it from an art side. It's a lot of the time it is basically just stealing somebody else's work without crediting them.
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily on an AI side of things, but it's certainly a lot more accessible with sort of open source engines like Unity and like Unreal Engine 4 and 5. Because especially if you use Unreal, for example, which is what Forever Skies is built in.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to understand these days. A lot of the stuff is sort of kind of ready to go. Epic you're probably aware of these because there was a certain game called The Days Before that was full of them, where they actually have they have a marketplace where you can actually literally buy assets to put in your game. They'll have like an environmental pack or like a map that you can literally, it's ready made that you can literally just put straight into your engine, and you can just literally go from there. And all of it is certainly the cheap way of doing things. Maybe not cheap, but it's certainly the easier way of doing things. I don't think we would necessarily go down that route personally. I think overall it is easier to do in the industry now. I don't see us going that way. We've always tried to create things a lot more original. If you look at Forever Skies, like just any kind of screenshot, you can go, oh yeah, that's actually kind of, visually like one screen, like, oh, I can tell that's what it is. A lot of it is all, all made from scratch. We do have some pre-bought packs, like some things that people don't care about, like a locker in the world or like a desk that you will want to replicate over and again is a bit more of a waste of time trying to create that from scratch.
To your point, actually, I think that the aesthetic that you've chosen, every single screenshot and image I've seen come out of about the game has this aesthetic where you fundamentally know you are seeing an image from this game.
Yeah, that's kind of what we went for, trying to make visually. There's not many games that look like our game, because if you look at, so our world is kind of separated into two. The general premise is that you're take control of an airship, but you return to an ecologically destroyed Earth, and the entire surface of the planet is now covered in a toxic dust. Right, so it's literally you can't see the ground. All that you can see is like buildings, mountains that protrude from this toxic dust that you fly to, and like every like location like that are islands that you visit and you gather resources. Tackle problems, enemies. There's not many games that kind of look like that visually. No. So yeah, it's kind of unique in that way, which is kind of what we always wanted. The world underneath the dust is a lot more linear and hand built, it's sort of handcrafted, static, a bit more like a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
So it kind of has these two different flavors.
It's like a flying water world.
Yes, that's interesting. Wow, man, maybe I need to change the Steam description. Damn.
Put that in, see what works out for you.
Quote to George, UC George, yeah.
Yeah. Back of the box quote, if ever there was one.
I actually did, yeah. I did actually a similar thing. Like, do you know the streamer Limmy, Scottish streamer?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He did like a stupid, not stupid, that's the wrong word. He did like a sort of like a summary of our game, but in his way, and set that out on social media, and people loved that. It was just a very swearing, crazy Scottish description of Forever Skies. It was wonderful. And I did want to change the Steam description, quote Limmy, with that. But yeah.
Mine would probably be the embryonic fusion of Slipstream and a flying water world. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Sure.
With a sprinkle of Von Zeppelin.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's not what we went for, but clearly we must be missing a trick here.
One thing I would say is, bizarrely, I've always had this addiction of interest to flying boats, i.e., and a certain kind, the Imperial flying boat, like you see in Tailspin, or Indiana Jones, the long transition one, and just generally airships, and not blimps, but Imperial era. I think they're called the Imperial ships or flying ships. Quite an evocative style of flying device. What made you guys go, yeah, actually, do you know what? Returning to a ravaged human Earth, we're going to get behind an airship simulator, almost within reason. What made you pick that as your flying device?
Airship's cool.
Well, as I've just took the pains to say, but from a gameplay point of view, that's what we're doing, because you could have had hover vessels, you could have had so many other different things. What made you, apart from being cool, what do they add fundamentally to the exploration of the game world?
So we always knew that we wanted to have a mobile base, because they take a lot of inspiration from Raft. And I don't know how familiar you are with Raft on PC. It's a very, very popular base building game. You start with a very basic raft. You go from island to island. That's basically a similar premise to what ours is, but obviously it's in the sky. So we always knew it would have to be a flying base. We always knew we wanted to be able to build it from scratch and be completely, make it your own, completely unique to yourself, and be able to do whatever you wanted to do it. So we always knew, based on our world logic, that we would have to create something that flew. And I think, I don't know why they landed on an airship specifically, because it happened before I joined the studio. The game was well into development when I joined. But a lot of it is just down to knowing that it needs to create a flying base that was fully customizable, that players would love, that is kind of unique, that you don't see all that often against sort of join. So I think a few ideas were floated around, but everyone kept coming back to this airship idea. We didn't want it to be steampunk, which kind of, you would think, oh, well, airship, steampunk, right?
It does lend itself to that.
It does lend itself to that kind of credence, right? But we didn't really necessarily want that, because we knew that our game was grounded in post-apocalyptic, but more science-based as opposed to steampunk-based.
Yeah.
So we kind of we knew we wanted an airship, I guess, because it would lend that ability to sort of be fully customized, but also just be able to drop down and land wherever, like sort of any other aircraft plane. You can't do that. It needs to have a long run. A helicopter, you can't do that because you can't really fully customize it. It has to be lightweight, really. Try and keep it grounded in science is a big thing in Forever Skies. Like a lot of the science in our game, because you play as a scientist, is based a lot on reality.
No Godunkas here.
No Godunkas here. That's for sure. No. although I have to concede, if you fly into Glass of Forever Skies, the same thing will happen. You need to set off the glass in our game.
Just keep that between you and me. In your world, it's acceptable to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, well, it'd be hit by a balloon. It wouldn't break anyway, right? Balloons don't break glass. It's fine.
Several million ton of inflated balloon has no penetrable ability whatsoever. We know this. This is cemented in physics facts. It's science.
Science, guys. It's science. But yeah, you've really called me out on that one.
I didn't mean to. You called yourself out, and I rocked up to the killing.
You were the witness.
I provided the knife that you knifed yourself with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's called a Godumfka.
The Godumfka. Oh, such a great name. But yeah, you've completely knocked me off track with that. Airships, yes, airships.
Yes.
They're cool, right? And it kind of just fit everything else in the world. We wanted a cool sort of vehicle, and it had to be a flying vehicle. No other kind of flying vehicle made sense. And also, dude, like it just a lot of the time it just comes down to the fact that airships are awesome. Airships are so cool.
Airships
are probably good for the pacing as well of the game as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? And also, they're not really like it's like what in real life now. I think there's like less than 40 of them actually around, right?
Yeah.
And they're probably the most eco-friendly way of flying. So our game is based a lot of it doesn't throw it in your face because we don't want to sort of preach to everyone who plays our game. But a lot of it is based, like our world ended in Forever Skies because of an ecological disaster, and a lot of that was down to us. And this is actually based on reality from what is happening right now in Krakow, which is where some of the devs are from. So up to a couple of years ago, Krakow and Wrocław, actually, both in Poland, were in the top 10 most polluted cities in the world, right?
Wow.
And these are not huge metropolises like, places, around the world. These are less than 1 million people in both cities, right? It got to a point a few years ago where they were saying, like, they had text from the government officials saying, please stay indoors and keep your windows closed because the air pollution levels are awful. A scientist in Krakow said you needed to be at least 100 meters up in the air to breathe clean oxygen. Now, dramatize that and you get Forever Skies, right? Okay. Has to be at least 100 meters into the air to breathe clean oxygen, and there's just smog below. That's essentially what's happening in the winter months in Krakow. So that was the drive
influenced by Rose. You're influenced by Gridlocked. I love it.
Yeah, essentially. There you go. It's magic.
Beautiful. I actually find that I didn't know anything about that, and I shouldn't think many people did, because obviously there's a cross-country, cross-language kind of cross story that we wouldn't even know about. But I find it interesting to see that is the influence behind the game, the pollution element, the review post-apocalyptic ecological disaster, I think is probably the best way to describe it. But the influence of that from their own beginning to be almost poisoned city from their own emissions is a great way of spinning that light round. I also like the ecological side of the airship as well. You're not ramming it down anyone's throat. It was completely lost on me until you made me aware of it. But I like the idea of it. I think the subtlety is nice. I was trying to get to the point before as well, where airships are almost like flying submarines more than any other craft, because they can hold in a location. You can descend, you can rise. You have that 3D element, and the fact that because it's large enough to not only be your sort of support sphere for your own vital oxygen and fluids that you need to survive in this world, but it's your safe space of creation and exploration as well.
That's
what
right.
are the customization options that make this really your own as a player? There's wall decorations, no doubt, but what are some of the other things that you can really use to say, this is my area and no one else is quite doing their lab, cockpit, crew rest area, as an example, exactly this way? What makes my area specific to me?
Anything you want. So we're working towards adding more and more with every update and every patch that we do. So right now, we've got a variety of different types of rooms. So sort of square rooms, ladder rooms. Soon we'll have different types of rooms with stairs. You've got different wall types. So you've got basically like metal, glass walls, whatever, plastic walls as well, all with different weights to sort of, because you've got to manage your weight of the airship as well. But we also have like different variety and different sort of patterns, which we're starting to introduce now. We're adding new balloon types very soon. Probably shouldn't say that too out loud because it hasn't been officially announced. But there you go. We will eventually add different balloon types that players can check out. We have many different ways to decorate. You can find objects in the world, like different sort of like trinkets, like old plates, old toys, which you can use to decorate around your airship. You can add furniture. You can just lay it out however you want to. You just have to manage the size of your airship balloon as well, because the basic balloon, I think, holds something like 500 kilograms. And you need to add, like, either make the balloon bigger or add a second balloon so you can add more and make your ship bigger and bigger and bigger. But wherever you want to place your engines, wherever you want to place your kitchen, wherever you want to catch your food from, wherever you want to get your materials from your extractors, we don't put any real restrictions. We put a few restrictions, like certain items can only be placed indoors, certain items can only be placed outside, because you can take damage on these items from like the elements from like thunder or drifting debris can hit the side of your airship and cause damage. So certain items have to be kept indoors. But for the most part, we don't really put too many restrictions on. I mean, if you speak to our building community, they might say we have too many restrictions. And we listen to that feedback and we try and work out if it's worth relaxing some restrictions, because obviously that can break certain gameplay elements. But we're constantly improving it, because base building alongside scavenging and just survival gameplay is like one of our biggest sort of pillars for the game. So we're constantly improving it. But yeah, different room types, different decorations, different layouts, soon different balloons. You can just make it however you want to, and we're just trying to constantly make that as easy as possible for you.
I notice you're on Steam at the moment. That's the early access, and at the moment on Steam. So you'll have a certain player base going, but is there certain gamers that you listen to, or is it everyone with the feedback and you try and adjust bits and pieces to that game as you go? Or, I mean, is it just the community as a whole?
It's kind of community as a whole, really. Like, no one holds more weight than others. But we do listen to the numbers make a big difference, how many people are actually saying it, because with certain with Steam, for example, Steam's great. Steam has a whole community hub itself where people can like join in forum discussions, and you do see a lot of people talking about what they would like to see added and stuff. But recently we've actually launched a new software. Well, actually it's a URL. It's just a website called Feature Upvote, which is basically just a site which I've created, which is dedicated to Forever Skies, which I moderate almost daily, where players can go in and send their discussion, send their ideas, and players just simply upvote it. They just click upvote it, and just they can leave comments or whatever. You do get a few people which try and duplicate the same ones, which we always say don't do it. If there's already a card there that suggested the same thing, just upvote it instead of creating your own one. That's a nightmare every day. But apart from that, it's easily manageable. And yeah, it's you can see that way as well what's floating towards the surface, what's becoming more and more popular. And really, like, we have our own plans for early access. We have our own plans and know what we want to do with the game and how to make it better. But we're not the only ones with the ideas. And sometimes people who are actually playing the game, we play the game, we play it constantly, but people who are playing the game and actually have something they want to say, like, are definitely worth listening to. And sometimes they have fantastic ideas. And we have made changes according to the game, according to the feedback that we receive. You know, we had a whole immunity mechanic, which I don't know how accustomed you guys are to survival games, but a lot of the time you're managing your oxygen, your food, your water, your health, and various other metrics. But on top of that, we had for at the start we had what was an immunity level. So the lower your immunity was, the easier it was for you to get sicker in game, right? Which we thought was a cool mechanic, and it sounds on paper, oh, that's awesome. So if I've got a high immunity, I've got less chance of getting sick, and then I don't have to worry about debuffs so much. So, but the thing is, in reality, was that this was becoming too much for players to manage, and it made them not be able to focus on other elements of the game, like base building, like survival, like exploration. So it was like another confusing level that didn't make much sense. Like, for example, you got a disease from standing out in the rain too much, right? Which we thought, oh, that sounds like a really cool idea. But in reality, players were just getting pissed because they were getting sick for literally just walking in the game, right? So
yeah, of course. It makes sense because that's where all illness starts, because you got a bit damp and cold one afternoon.
Yeah, you think so on paper, and based in reality, which we try and go for, it made sense. But in terms of gameplay, it wasn't fun and it was annoying players. So what we did was we didn't scrap the immunity entirely. What we noticed was that players were becoming a lot more interested in the story of the game. There isn't a ton of story in Forever Skies right now because we're adding chapters as we add, with content updates. But they were really into the story. So we added immunity into the story.
Oh.
So rather than it be something they had to like physically manage, it would just be part of the story. Like as you progress through the story, you're getting sicker. You need to find the cure to stop this illness.
Oh, okay.
And
can I just say before it slips,
appreciate it.
Before it slips from my brain, and you need to write this down for the lore of Forever Skies.
Go ahead.
You know, in Waterworld, they're trying to find the elusive dry land.
Right. Yes.
In your game, they're trying to find the elusive high land, either a skyscraper or a mountain that's like still green and fledglingly beautiful. Highland. That's what they call it. These disparate apocalyptic rooftop villages and epochs and apocalypse. That's where they hang out, all looking for this. Oh, mate, come on, get me a pen. We already have like these like hanging garden towers in the game. It's how they had to be executed, but Highland. That's got to be. Maybe it could be set on Ben Nevis as well as a little bit of
maybe. See, something that's actually something we try and avoid. Now, in our original key art, we had Big Ben, or the Elizabeth Tower, whatever you want to call it, actually in our key art, but we had to kind of move away from that direction because, believe it or not, these places, these listed places, these well-known landmarks, they cost you money if you include them in your game. Yeah, this is why only places like why only people like Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed really only go ahead and do it. Because it's
licenses, yeah.
A lot of the buildings have had licenses applied to their visual. That's why
their visual identity. Yeah,
Spider-Man has the Chrysler Building, but then in the remaster for PS5, it doesn't have the Chrysler Building because they didn't want to pay the big money.
Yeah,
it's true.
Great. So they had that money when they made it on PS2, but they didn't have that money when it came around and making it.
Yeah, the PS2 Spider-Man game is clearly superior in every way, regardless.
I mean. Unless you played Spider-Man on the PS Vita, I don't think you've played Pinnacle Spider-Man. The flip book.
I have the Vita and I've never played it. So there we go. That's something for me to check out.
If you want to save yourself the however much it costs that game these days, I think it's getting up there like $70. It has to be the most expensive, worst game on Vita. And that's saying something. Look, I love the behind the scenes look you're giving us, and I'm finding interesting to see how this game is almost reaching its sort of maturation point, but the decisions taken along the way to kind of refine and change it. The guys, obviously, most famously, your stablemates here have most famously worked on Dying Light and Dying Light 2. How was that? Have you seen any direct lineage from within their experience of that manifest itself within Forever Skies?
No, not really, because, I mean, we don't want it. It's not a killing game. Right, so we will leave the zombies to Techland. We've cultivated a following of players. There is combat in the game, but it's very minimal. It takes a backseat to a lot of everything else. But in terms of what we have taken from it, is just in terms of more along the side of world building and programming and how to actually work with the engines to a AAA standard. So that's what we've taken from it, but not in terms of actual like gameplay mechanics. Our team have worked on Dying Light 2, but they've also worked. Some of them have worked a lot of sort of like more sort of story-driven games over, like for example, like at Flying Wild Hog, Larian Studios, CD Projekt. So no zombie killing in our game, despite how many people might ask for it. We will leave that to them. But yeah, the experience comes from more of the back end system operation.
And I think that's. I wasn't expecting, obviously, for you to rock up and do zombified dying, airship Dying Light or anything like that. It was more those sort of more subtle nuances that they'd learned that you've kind of spoke to there. Of the within the experience of working on Dying Light, they've gained this and that experience, and your story driven guys there bringing an element of that.
Yeah,
forming that all together underneath one banner. You spoke of the cooperative attitude at the studio, which is wonderful. But a wise man once said, the fastest decisions get made in a team of 3 people, 2 of which are absent. Is there an element where someone does need to step in and say, do you know, I love all these ideas, and if only we had another 6 months, we could just reskin this whole thing and change its direction completely. But at this point, we're too far and we've committed to Vision A. Let's see it through.
Of course. Yeah. We have like the heads in place. We have production. First of all, there's the creative vision, creative director who will have that sort of influence, say this is not what the original vision was, so this won't happen. But the producers who were sort of like managing like the time frame and how long things will take and how much these things will cost, they're the ones who do have the ultimate say. We take in everyone's opinion, which is the important part. We have a skeleton and a way that we know we're going. It's just all the little extra little details things and all the it might be like a location, it might be like a little small detail, it might be a mechanic, a quality of life improvement. That's where we take in everybody else's words. But we, roughly speaking, in terms of the story, the basis, the core mechanics, we know where we are, and that is all in place. It's just all the other stuff that surrounds it. A game isn't, so linear like that. You want to add all these little extra things that will make the game easier, things that might make it a bit more enjoyable, like little, even just like little Easter egg ideas, right? Like these are the kind of things where you want to take in other people's opinions. But yeah, if you listen to everyone when you come to like making core decisions on your core mechanics or your core story, then it's going to be a whole mess. So you are absolutely right. Yeah, there's all 100% that co-op element, but it's about what else is being suggested.
Someone's got to wield the ban hammer and the cut knife, haven't they? That says, you know what? I know you've spent weeks on this, but it's not going to make it. It's not going to add it in, put it in the bin box for ideas for 2.
Exactly. So
one question I have got, it's in early access at the moment, and obviously some very lucky people around the world are playing and enjoying Forever Skies. They're having the experience that is very much an exclusive environment at the minute. But within that exclusive environment of you guys that are talking on your Discord and in communities between each other about how this game's developing and you're enjoying it, and you've all got very, very adept at playing this game, what's the biggest flex as a player at the moment? Who's got the biggest base? Who's managed to get this farm going where it generates this and then that and then this, and now they've got more of currency or the bigger base, or they've put things together? Who's that dude out there on the cutting edge of Forever Skies that's making everyone go, do you know what? If airships were penises, this guy would be hung like a blue whale.
Another one for the box buff.
Who's that person and what are they doing? What's the Manhattan Project of the Forever Skies early access players? Who's out there pushing the very ragged edge?
So we have a lot of players who are very interested in focus. Like the base building is like the thing for them, right? We have got a good couple of players. And we have ran some contests. We ran a contest around base building, which we did back in October. That was won by a guy called Professor, who made an absolutely incredible sort of 3-tier airship, like something like 9 balloons. It had like a bar. It had like loads of stuff. Right? It was absolutely incredible. I implore you to look it up on our socials. But we do have our main base builder champion. The guy who really shows what is possible in our game. It also shows what's not possible, and also gives me a bit of grief about that. Is a player called DeLindsay, who is a content creator. He focuses a lot on base building. He does a lot of Starfield content. He does a lot of survival game base building content. And he's created some absolutely insane airships that we didn't even know were possible to create in our own game.
Yeah.
Right.
He's created some insane. He's done all kinds of stuff. So he must have made something like 30 odd ships at something at this point. But he's also shown like what is possible to do. Like it's not possible in our game, for example, to make more than one airship. You have the one airship. We've not going down multiple airship routes because optimization frame rates would just kill it dead.
Yeah.
But he's found ways to separate sort of modules to create separate airships and stuff that all follow but are not actually connected.
Wow.
Or he's found ways to circumvent the building restrictions we have in place to actually like put like interior items on the exterior, or like create like ships that look like they've got like plane wings using like catwalks and stuff. Or he's created like a under 500 kilo, which is like the minimum weight for an airship, and has created this incredible, fully functioning airship that has like all like later items. Like I say later items, like later in-game items, but in theory it won't be later items because the game's still being built. But like the current latest items, like he's created so many airships, created quite a lot of videos. Probably worth checking out. It's called Lindsay, like the name, like my girlfriend, Lindsay, but with DE at the start, DeLindsay. He's worth checking out on YouTube. He's created some unreal airships. So shout out to him.
Does it make your game devs look at some of these things he's created and thinking, how has he done that? We didn't know that was actually possible. Is it like confused them, or are they just in awe of what he's done?
The thing is, it's made us realize, there are ways to sort of circumvent, there are ways to sort of get around some of the restrictions we put in place for certain reasons. But it kind of makes you go, let's leave it.
Yeah.
Cool. He's found a way to do it. Like, there's no point in like patching that out. Let's reward them by saying, yeah, cool. You figured a way.
Brilliant.
As you were. It does make us go, like you say, like, I didn't know that was even possible on quite a few occasions. But there's quite a few players. Early access is about that anyway. Like a lot of like, oh, okay, you shouldn't be able to do that. We'll fix that. But when people are finding stuff that's cooler than what you've done, you don't mess with that. I think like there might be like one occasion where we're like, oh, that needs to go back. We shouldn't have fixed that. Certain things. There's a reason why devs use the term it's not a bug, it's a feature, right? It means like that was not meant to happen, but it's flipping cool. Let's keep it in. And that's what we're kind of trying to do with it.
I'm going to try and wrap this up, if I may be so bold, and I'm going to do it through the medium of Far From Home themselves. Their key tenets as a developer to create a great work environment to allow people to grow, be ambitious, and have an impact on the projects and the studio itself. And we've spoken about that. I do believe that they not only preach these tenets, they live up to them as well. To serve players, our role is to listen, watch, analyze, and bring the best possible experience for the gaming community. They've embraced their community through the Discord and the early access and all that good stuff. And this is the one that goes back to the pollution storyline. To start a discussion about the future of Earth and humankind, we believe that games can be a tool for enacting change in the world. And with this in mind, we want to blend important topics with the joy of gaming. Every single one of those tenets seems to have woven itself into Forever Skies the game, and also what you're achieving over there on the Discord. They're important pillars to build a business on. are you looking to add to those, or do you thinking this just sums us up for the rest of eternity and we are committed to these? Or has anything come from this experience that you will add in as you go?
That remains to be seen. I think for the most part right now, we're thinking of keeping it very simple as is. These are 3 key pillars that summarize our studio and summarize our project and future projects. We are getting, slightly bigger, but we also want to keep that smaller studio mindset. We have recently signed sort of small deals, but we have signed deals, with Krafton, who are the guys behind Subnautica and PUBG. We've also signed on with PlayStation, so they've also had a part. So we will be releasing, when it comes to console, that'll be PlayStation 5 exclusive, as well as Steam.
Will there be? That's one more thing I was just going to ask you. Sorry, jump in. Will there be a physical release of this game, or is it going to be?
To be honest, right now it's really hard to say. I would say probably not, and the reason being is because, again, the size of that undertaking to create like an actual physical copy, the cost of it, and also the eco effects that has, which kind of might go against what we're trying to say as a studio.
Very true.
So maybe not. I'm not going to say no 100%. Like nothing's for certain. We're kind of going off what we was asking before as well. I'm going to say I don't see us. We still plan to stick to those ideologies, and I think if we try and get any bigger, it kind of would go against those. Because those are things that really matter to us. We're making the project we can because we are listening to everyone. We're listening to players. We're trying to prove that games can be more than entertainment. We've signed with we are now charity partners with WDC, World and Dolphin Conservation. We've actually created an artifact that people can buy for $2.99. That's pounds. No, it's not. $2.99 is dollars. My mistake. Which is literally just like an artifact with whales and dolphins, and like you can change the color of it, and it's like a decorative item. And 100% of the revenue of that goes to WDC. So yeah, we're doing what we can, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Even though we have, like say, signed some of these sort of small stake deals with Krafton PlayStation, that's just to secure our future, so we can remain 100% creative ourselves. Without their influence, and so we can support future projects.
And I suppose as well, with being a smaller studio, embracing the community, you then end up making the game the community wants. So there we step it away, and rather than being a locked off studio just releasing a game, this way you can perfect and find what everyone wants to play. So brilliant way of doing it.
The early access model gives you full ability to do that. It's kind of great. I'd never really looked at early access before me, like working in the industry myself. I was always like I'm a 1.0 guy. That's just me. I'll play it when it's finished. But it's so fascinating to see actually how passionate some players are, like just trying to make the game as great as possible. And they're the ones that are worth listening to. There's obviously plenty of players out there who like to complain and will leave negative reviews. The ones who leave Steam negative reviews going mid, probably not worth listening to. But people who are like literally leaving you 3 or 4 paragraphs, what I loved, what I didn't like, maybe we could try this. They're doing it. They're not because they don't like the game. They're doing it because they care and they want to make something better. These are the people that are worth listening to. And it's truly fascinating part of game dev.
Is there, before we move to the Mighty Ray, is there anything that you want to ask or say, or is anyone you want to shout out, or is there any information that you want to leave here for people to discover that are either interested in Far From Home or Forever Skies?
Good question. In terms of Forever Skies, I'm going to say, just check us out. If you like the game on Steam, give it a wish list. It's really greatly appreciated. You don't have to pick it up now. We're constantly updating the game, and it might be worth looking at in the future for you. And we're also adding co-op mode, so it might be something great for the community. So up to 4-player co-op, that is. So that might be something worth looking into.
From also, the creative, 4 players in creative base building cooperatively together.
Yes. So you all join your airship. One can fly, one can gather resources, one can prepare food, one can be doing experiments in the lab, creating boosters. One could be preparing weapons. That was 5 people. Greg, learn how to count. But yeah,
that's cool.
And then you go off and you explore certain locations together. So yeah, that would be the experience.
That's cool because that's got that Starship bridge crew experience of. It'd be nice if, as someone's flying, someone needs to be engineering, pulling it, doing something that commits them to their station. So when you're in flight, multiplayer, this a bit like Sea of Thieves, this thing needs interactions in each of these different department rooms to keep this thing in the air. That would be not only are you collaborating on a poster to stick on the wall, you're collaborating on keeping this thing in the air. Full stop. Yeah. That would be. So much good stuff to come, and again,
it's a challenge there because ultimately we don't want to make it just about co-op.
No.
We want to make this game completely playable in both single player and co-op. So that is a challenge to try and get that balance right. But it's still in development, heavily in development. So it's looking more and more fleshed out every time I see it.
Very cool. Okay, well, I've got a personal indulgence question, if I may be so bold. Could you lean on maybe some of your PlayStation Access compadres to see if you can get me something that may have been in the same room as Rose Caddick at all? Possibly, please, maybe.
I knew this was coming.
Fan of Rose Caddick, are you?
Oh, jeez.
Yes, he is.
She's a ball of fun.
Just incredible.
I have a quote from her on my Twitter account, and it's she called me once an awesome bunny. So I have that as a quote on my Twitter profile / Rosie Caddick.
Do you think she could make some time in her day to listen to the UCP? We've crafted it in her honor for her. It's almost like an idol to her.
I wish I could. I wish I love PlayStation Access.
Listen,
but I
don't.
don't.
Let's go the soft route. You can either talk her into it, or basically me and RGT rocking up in a blacked out transit van and we're kidnapping her and sticking it in her ear.
I'll speak to him. My God, I'll speak to him.
Perfect. There's a gentle way, and then there's the illegal way where the show's over. Really.
I know it's I like the horrible way I get dragged in. The gentle way, I'm nothing to do with it, but the horrible way, I'm in a blacked out transit.
You're leading the whole enterprise.
You're there to get your hands dirty. Yeah.
You've kind of got to. Okay, well that'd be really kind. And
God forbid she ever listens to this episode, George.
Yeah.
I don't think I've said anything. I threatened to kidnap, but I wasn't involved.
Yeah, because that's better. Oh my God.
It's the only way I can probably find to get close to that much greatness, if I'm honest with you. So it's all from a place of Phil, whatever you can do with this last 5 minutes of audio, anything you can do to make me sound less
the trash, maybe
less awkward.
Phil's
the cutting room floor, maybe.
Phil saved every single section and second of this show bar 2 swears. If anyone can save this, he will make me sound
like a 2-hour blooper reel, I think.
Yeah, be in the Christmas special, won't it? With that all said and done, one man that knows how to dig his way in and out of danger and problems like no one else. And to be honest with you, it's the only reason Greg put up with any of what we've just talked about to get to this point. And I don't blame him, to be honest, because if there was ever a celebrity that crawled out of this show...
it's OG Tom.
Yeah. But other than him, there's a fan of the law. Bring him in. Christmas Island's relinquished its last great secret. I'm intrigued to see how you see him, because as a I'm going to say it very loosely, a fan of the show to some degree. You're bigger than this show now, so the fact that you even
please,
it's true. If there was a listener that was hung like a blue whale, it'd be you. Hopefully, they've actually got quite large. I don't know if that's. I didn't actually do the biology of the blue whale.
I should ask my friends at WDC. That'd be an awkward email.
What you'd sign off with hung like a blue whale?
No. I was going to ask just how I thought you wanted me to find out how big.
Imagine that. Hi, it's Greg. Just a quick question. Asking for a friend.
Asking for science.
Yeah, pop down. We've got one in the tank. Bring a tape measure. The Ray has evolved into, now we see him in a different way each time. I don't know when this change happened, because it used to be that he was up to some sort of innocuous stroke, slightly illegal activity. And now he literally has become this almost ethereal being. What do you make of this new version of Ray? This almost all things to all men character?
Well, I mean, I think last time I was here, I think I recall him looking like my friend Jeff. But now he looks like Jeff, but he's in stop motion. He's moving like he's been animated by a stop motion studio. It's intriguing. It's almost heartwarming.
Let me get him down here, because I want to see this with my, as Yoda would say, oh, nice. No, Vader would say it.
Vader
nice.
said that.
Yeah. Let me look upon you with.
You've just angered millions of Star Wars fanatics.
To be fair,
the fandom's in rioting right now towards.
I'm looking forward to the reviews this
when
week.
he was on the bridge of the Battlestar Galactica anyway, I wasn't totally convinced by the way Vader pulled out the One Ring. Time for a peek and watch what we affectionately call Stingray's boot. What's else between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battlefriendle this week. These are new release highlights for the week May 26th to June 2nd, 2024. Listeners, these are out in digital, physical, or will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but could be. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that they could be. Region dependent. Spring stop. Wow. Whoa. Back to what you said earlier. You see him pop out this vehicle as almost like Morph on a budget, or are we talking more sort of Postman Pat?
Talking more Wallace and Gromit, I think.
Wow. Handmade, hand executed, beautiful looking, stop motion.
He looks like what Wallace would look like, but with more cigarettes.
I suddenly now
and more sort of dirty long hair, in a ponytail.
I would kill for an Aardman animation creation of Ray and Wayne.
Wow,
that's how you're seeing it. That's the most
Aardman, if you're listening.
Recreate the whole show. We don't do video anymore. It's recreated by Aardman. It takes them about 6 weeks, so we're 6 weeks behind the news, the episodes, everything. Nice work, guys.
Good job.
Okay, let me tell you how I'm seeing him. This week, I'm seeing him as one of the smokers from Waterworld, but he's on a budget, and in fact, he's topped it off with a couple of helium balloons he's got from the local market, but they're in the shape of probably what was never going to catch on, really. But he's managed to get hold of an I thought it was Airwolf. It's Blue Thunder, the series helium balloon. He's wrapped that round what looks like a fake Darth Vader head and something else, and he's got them attached to the rain gutters of the Bluebird. Except he's got Wayne nailed to the front, almost as like bait for a space whale. I don't know exactly what they're up to or quite what universe. Hang on a minute. What's in the boot here? I see what you're doing, Ray.
I don't know how he comes up with these every week.
I see what you're doing, Ray. But Eternal Skies. It's the most blatant copyright infringement I've ever seen in my life. Fair play to you with the cosplay and the car and all that, but no one. What even is this?
We don't see through your lies.
Ray, you've not even bothered. We've talked about the 3 tenets: creation, cooperative design, ecological foundation. I look in here. I'm glad people don't like you exist anymore. The case that he's made for this prototype game is made from dolphins' tears, right? Oh. Solidified down into a case. People like you, scum. Okay, it's even got a bit of. It's not even cooperatively farmed. It's got bits of tuna in it. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Tesco's basic range.
For the sake of everything. For the sake of everything that's holy, I've burnt it.
Thank God. Thank you.
Save us from this copyright nightmare, RGT. How are you seeing him?
Funnily enough, that's another Waterworld link here because he's come like a really little version of Kevin Costner with sort of a damp Lambert and Butler hanging out of his mouth. But he's turned up on which looks like a disused pedalo from Great Yarmouth Rapids. I mean, he's gone in on the look, but he's not quite mastered it yet. But then Wayne is a perfect scale 1/18th version of Harvey Retro. Looks absolutely stunning. Yeah.
I love it.
It's a perfect 1/18th scale. Yeah.
What would you do?
Hair, the lot.
Greg, with a 1/18th scale perfect replica of Harvey Retro, what would you do with that?
Well, I pride a place on my display here that you can see, which none of the podcast listeners can listen to. But I have a very nice display of sort of like video game memorabilia just behind me, and it would take pride of place.
You would.
I owe a lot to Harvey Retro.
In a clear plastic case and forever prison him in cardboard, which is too heavy for his.
It's not actually Harvey Retro. It's just a replica. It's fine. It's what.
What are you talking about? It's Wayne Ray. He's subhuman anyway because he's below 3 foot tall. We're not against. No, that's not.
Oh,
we're gonna move on. What you got in the boot other than Eternal Skies?
Stop that, Phil.
Leave it in, Phil. Just make it sound less. Just do what you can.
Dangerous.
I know you're not a miracle worker. I know you're not a miracle worker. Hence, you have your own religion. Exactly. Make it work. I don't know what we pay you for. The only game I can see in the back here, thankfully, is Multiverses, coming out for the PC, the PS5, the Series X, May 28th, 2024. Multiverses is a free-to-play platformer fighter that brings the iconic depth of... Just give it here. WB stars to life across the nearly endless possibilities of play. By being the only survivor of the current Ray boot, and therefore ergo contractually obliged that they get the Mummy sticker for the front of the box, it's a three-way dance. Gentlemen, what film, and I look to you first, Greg, if I may be so bold, it's only now really that the camera has solidified in on RGT, and I mentioned it before, how you look like Ming the Merciless with this new facial hair.
Thank you. Well, I think thank you.
Were those great bits there before, or have you put them in while on holiday?
No, it's been a stressful week on holiday. No, it's always been there.
Rocky the Salt and Pepper. I like it.
I like the way he's actually...
I'm sure my age. It's very, very...
I think there was a lot more grey going on, but there's been some Grecian 2000 or Sharpie gone on to kind of... I don't know.
Grecian 2000?
Yeah. You look like Suffolk's answer to Stone Cold.
I'll take that. Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. I'll take that.
Can you give me a yes, please?
Said in Suffolk.
Lukewarm Shane Austen. That's next level. What VHS are you taking home?
I assume you two are okay if I take the WWF WrestleMania X7 VHS. Yeah, we're good. Okay, that's mine. I'll take that. Thank you very much. And a copy of Free Willy, just out of curiosity.
Be careful with Ray's films, though, because that might not be the film you're expecting.
Oh, yeah, I think that's probably
a Ray version.
Yeah.
I think you might be safe, because I think
that said Three Willies.
Yeah, that involved Dev Babs and round the back of the Biffers.
I heard that I heard he made his prototype video game case out of the collapsed dorsal fin of Willy. So, you know, I'd be careful if I were you. Be careful.
Okay.
He was never the same again after that. Never worked with children and animals.
Remember to please be kind, rewind.
Or the UCP.
Yeah.
You might have survived it.
What VHS do you want?
God, come to me.
I can do mine if you want. I've already said what I want out of the boot.
Go on then, because I'm wondering what I should pick.
Well, Ray knows I was in Cornwall for a week, so I'm going to get a copy of Blue Juice out of the boot, starring Sean Pertwee. Great film.
Niche.
Yeah, George looks completely lost. Like he's never even heard of it.
I don't know. It sounds like that dodgy vape juice he sells. If I'm honest with you, but who am I?
No, it's just it's a bit of a. It's actors trying to be cool surfers, but based in Cornwall rather than
rather somewhere.
Yeah,
they were bodyboarding more than anything else.
So
really, to be honest with you,
you'll see them sitting near the beach, ready to catch this surf, and then they instantly had this cut-in from an Hawaiian movie of these massive blue perfect waves that doesn't actually fit the day that they're actually sitting
in the worldwide leagues. In the worldwide leagues of surfing, the UK surfers really have to be at the lower end, aren't they, really? You can't actively pursue an extreme sports lifestyle in Skegness, can you? Really?
Well, no, honestly. You'd have to be based in Cornwall. But yeah, you wouldn't do it in Skegness. There's been a few have been on the circuit.
I like how you say Skegness. Don't be ridiculous. Cornwall. Yeah, like that's better. Yeah.
Well, that is for surfing. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, but
and the water's
when
blue,
you're trying
not
to serve
brown.
up surfable locations, and the UK's not really the most surfable location. Anywhere else in the world, Cornwall's waves would be laughed off as the kiddie park.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's the wave pool where you go to like the big water world. It's just like the thing that all the kids sort of rush to. Just like the little wave pool.
I actually think it's more the paddling pool that the drunken fat uncle fell in, and you got a little bit of a push to one side.
You can get some good surf. It's not as nowhere near as regular as it is around the rest of the world. There was actually a tournament on when we were down there, but had been postponed from the week before because it looked like
there's no version of Kelly Slater's based in Cornwall. I mean, what would it be? Rick Stein's bodyboarding?
Oh well, no. There's a lot of big surf shops. There's quite a few well-known people who done well. There's a guy who owns a bodyboard shop who was world champion. He's from England. So
there you go.
There you go.
My fundamental lack of understanding of the bodybuilding body. To be honest, I'm moving on.
Yeah, move on.
That's your VHS pick.
Yes, Blue Juice.
Okay, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Birds of a Feather Series 1. It's an exclusive limited edition VHS box set.
It's only because you fancy Doreen.
Comes with a lock of her hair and a Glade plug-in air freshener.
That's one great collector's edition.
Yeah.
It's got the potpourri smell in it. So, to be honest, it's not aged well. It's a bit solidified in there, but it's doing something. With that raise gone, all that's left on the floor is what looks like the corner of the WrestleMania X7 case and a picture of Dorian. What's that on it? It's Glade plug-in freshener juice. Thank goodness for that. Gone a little bit cloudy over time, but
it's not the vape juice.
Yeah, what was that called again? Blue what?
Blue juice.
Blue juice. It's beef flavour, that one, blue juice. He likes to defy expectations with the vape juice, does our Ray?
OXO flavour.
Yeah. We can't call it that. He can refer to it as OXO tasting, but he can't put that on the box. With that all done, all gone. I feel like we've been relatively safe this episode. I must ask you, gentlemen, and I'll start with our fine guest, and thank you for persevering with us this far. You're a glutton for punishment, especially during the Attitude era of the show. What are you hoping to play?
So hoping to finish off either Harold Halibut or Bioshock 2.
Nice.
And I'm also hoping to finally dive in with Helldivers.
I know you were gonna love that.
I know I will. I was a big Apex player for many years, and I just know that I could lose hundreds of hours to this, and I'm not sure I'm ready for it.
Have you seen anyone else?
Sorry, very quick. I've also got around to playing Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to give that some time. I think. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Have you seen anyone else playing Helldivers? Or are you going to go in fresh?
Yeah. No, I've watched quite a bit of it on streams and whatnot. So yeah, I'm very familiar with what it is and concept and how the game plays. But
it's a shame because there's no money shot quite like getting into the Hell Pod yourself for the first time, then shooting down like da 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 da.
Yeah, I can't actually be the one shooting down for the theme I hear. This is incredible epic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Hopefully I can play this week.
Make it so. Make it happen. You have to.
I'll try. I'll give it some time. Yeah.
Is there anything else on the periphery?
I've also been playing a bit of Planet Crafter on PC, which is like another survival game, which is a very addictive, fantastic game loop. It's a really great game full of content, and it was only made by 2 people. So
wow,
check that out. Yeah, worth looking into. It went into 1.0 full release like about a month or 2 ago. I think it was about a month ago. So yeah, that's doing really, really well when you look at like Steam DB.
PC players.
I believe they've also had a console release, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I mean, it's not the most demanding. You could probably get it like on you could probably get it running on like mid specs, but yeah.
286?
Maybe a bit higher.
486 Pentium.
Pentium processor. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We made it into 2004.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, I would say it's worth looking at if you have sort of like a 1080, let's say, RTX.
Okay. RGT
probably a little bit further ahead.
To me, that's what the face of God could be rendered with. RGT, what are you hoping to play?
Some more Signalis, some more Kirby. Definitely, I've been chomping at the bit to get back on Bioshock 2. As you know, I've completed 1 and got about halfway through 2 before I went on holiday. So, been absolutely loving it, especially as that's first time experience for me. And I'm playing on the OG PS3, so playing the original version. Yeah, fantastic. So I'm looking forward to getting.
Where are you at, if you don't mind me asking?
Got to remember where I'm up to now. You've asked me a question now. I can't remember.
I knew it on the spot.
Yeah, I remember I'd worked out I was about halfway through the missions. So I was, because I quickly looked up the mission list before I left.
Okay.
But yeah, really enjoying that. Loving the story, the twist, the different part of the city. Really, really good. So yeah, I shall be, as of recording this, it's a bank holiday weekend, so I should be spending my weekend probably mostly playing Bioshock 2.
Yeah,
with some crafties.
That we get that. Oh, don't! You've just seduced me through the medium of a video game bank holiday weekend. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Summon me and purr to me.
As usual.
And the weather's going to be terrible. It's the best time.
The perfect excuse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Guilt-free.
Can't do the garden, love us rain, and so I better carry on with Bioshock.
I'm not messing around with cuticles here. I'm going. I'm at the knuckle.
Oh. I knew it'd be a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's the attitude era. It's how it works now.
We're not in ruthless aggression era yet. Come on, surely it's any time now.
Well,
that's not long away. I don't
We've
think.
got a decade in this.
Wow.
Not that the ruthless aggression era was any more PG, but yeah.
Yeah.
It made the attempt.
It tried.
I'm going to play some Helldivers. I'm going to venture a little bit further than the animation for Hit Strike of Elden Ring will permit. I shall put my nose everywhere it's not wanted, and certainly threaten the bigger boys with absolutely nothing because I'm a complete baby in that game.
What are you playing on? PS5?
Yeah.
I'd have to jump in with you. I need to re-download it for the DLC anyway.
I don't even know how that would manifest itself. That you might need to give me one of those Helldivers moments where I jump in with a stranger before I permit to peacock in front of you. You're rolling up. Yeah.
Well, George, that guy murdered you to pieces, but you've got some lovely plumage.
Exactly. I like the fact that you've leveled up or equivalent of leveled up at least once before showing your dirty face around here. I think it's the decent thing to do from an etiquette point of view. If I rock up with my controller upside down and ask you to basically mop up my sick for the past 2 weeks, you're not going to be very great.
Again.
You won't. Oh, exactly. So I at least know how to work the controller. Maybe one weapon advancement from the one I've got. I think then I can. Is that a new weapon? Just a little something I pulled out the cupboard. It's not my best weapon. Don't get me wrong, but it's something I picked up along the way. That Helldivers, happy to hold your hand in that, although I'm not an expert, to be honest with you. I'm dangerous, to say the least. A bit more F1. And I think that might be. I keep wanting to. I've got Alan Wake 2 on the go, but I kind of lost my bubble with it, and it's kind of been on the back burner.
Best game from last year that I played, because I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3, but best game from last year for me. We could do a whole other podcast just on Alan Wake 2. We probably don't have time.
I loved the first Alan Wake, and I loved the lore. I loved the extended universe. Playing through the remake of that again, it was like, yeah, this is well put together. Certainly a game of its time. Yeah. But the second one, I don't know quite why, but it hasn't grabbed me as hard as the first game did. I don't know whether I've got a bit of nostalgia for the first one, whether the fact that the Mind Palace is like a completely weird and bizarre experience to me that I don't know if it adds anything, really. It might do later on, but for now I find it like quite an odd. I feel like I'm smashing my head against a brick wall in the Mind Palace as much as I am sometimes the actual game world. So, the hell do you want me to do with this picture? And I just end up holding it everywhere until the game goes, yeah, it's part of this bit. Like, oh, yeah, okay. I don't feel like a detective. I feel like a kid that's got a star shape that's been trying to smash it into the square hole for 10 hours. And now I've just tried it over everything and it's gone in the star shape hole, much to my surprise. I don't feel like a detective.
I found the opposite. I finished both of them, but I finished Alan Wake 1 really, really struggled to keep with that because it's just another level of, okay, go to the Dark Woods. Okay, kill these enemies. Okay, go to this area. Oh, it's Dark Woods again. Okay, kill all the enemies.
The beat-to-beat, minute-to-minute gameplay of 1, admittedly, absolutely nowhere near as strong. I will hold my hand up and say that. But the actual story narrative and the introduction is, I think, very capable. And I actually wonder if they went far enough with the remake, because they probably could have waited and then used the 2 engine, and that would have been, that would have been seriously sexually exciting to me. And I think I've got Uncharted 4 on the burner on the PS4 as well. Why don't ask questions, just smile and nod. Yes. I want a bit more Dave the Diver because I'm finding that quite intriguing, to be honest with you. Oh
yeah, stick with it.
And to anyone who's mildly interested in Dave the Diver, if they've got it, the DLC is get it downloaded now because it's around but won't be forever kind of scenario. But if you've got it, it's yours forever. But if you don't get it, it might not be obtainable. So I think if you're having fun with Dave the Diver and you grab that DLC now because it's free, I don't know if this show's known for its advice, but there's some. Do with it what you will. We've now got to the point in time where we do our tier level supporter thing shout out. I've been trying not to mention it because I'm wondering if people are just a bit sick of hearing about it. Greg, you're on the outside looking in, on the outside looking out. What do you make of all this community advancements that we've been making recently? You're a community manager, so speak your mind.
It's good. Means you and your community are moving in the right direction. It's looking like it's becoming more and more established, and it's great to see that you've got such a huge list of insiders almost. I think it's great. You're doing the right thing. You're growing that audience, and it's amazing to see so many people are willing to part with their, hard-earned money to support the show. Clearly shows that you embrace them. I want to say, it's great.
Embrace. It's not a word you should use loosely around me.
They embrace the show. They embrace the ways that we have around here, It's good.
Embrace the ways that we have around here,
That's to be sound like Bada Bingster, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what else to do with it. I mean, it's like, oh, you've edged into this area, have you, George? Now, what are you going to do? And I wasn't sure. RGT, you sent me the list, but I cannot find for the life of me where it might be. I've got it.
You've got it. Yeah.
What's the point of having an official messaging service in the show and not use it?
Yeah, I just thought I'd send it to the logical one that obviously isn't logical to you.
Is this the Backlog of Shame episode?
Feels like it, yeah. Do I need to storm off or?
No, I'm going to do it.
Cool. Right, we'll take it in turns, said read that, then Greg. Don't believe it. It's just an attention seeker.
Do you want me to start us off?
You certainly can.
Okay, Trestles, New York.
Then we've got Bada Bingster.
Tingle Tuna.
Gee, you got it right. We always say that wrong. Bless him. Then we've got Digital Monkery.
I'm gonna.
Sorry, we're doing a list here. So who are you?
No, hang on. We need to break the fourth wall. Whose name have I interrupted?
The next one would be Roast Space Monk.
Oh,
I was then saying Digital Monkery, and then we were getting on to Roast Space Monk.
Listen, I'm really sorry, but this whole episode, I want you to know that I've been fighting what can only be described as a torrent of snot. I'm not ill. I feel fine. But there's been this almost, well, I think the Niagara Falls has probably produced less liquid than my face has for some reason. I thought I had a nosebleed.
Wow.
You're okay.
I don't know. I looked at you.
I don't know where to go with that, but I mean, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
The show needed that.
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
So how you
those breaks in the fourth wall are important, you know. You can almost call you Kojima.
I just want yeah, you know, as podcast auteurs go, I mean, I'm right up there.
Right. If you'd like to take part, the next one is Roast Space Monk, whose name we've said twice now.
This is why he pays the big bucks. Roast Space Monk. I don't know how many times that it said. The Gaming Gram. Are we doing a roundabout each?
We were taking in turns, but you've just come back and took over. So,
I just wanted to make up for the fact I've been sort of sick note for the last 30 seconds. I thought I'd do an extra shift.
Well, I'll go with Bald Border.
Boba.
Yeah.
Does that mean I get Marathon Gaming?
Scotty boy. Yeah. Then we've got Seal Master Elliot.
Then we've got Ginge.
I've got Emma Sharp. Any clarification on to whether she's on the apps or no RGT? Because
I've said no originally, and I'll continue to say that. Thanks,
okay. OG Tom just wondered if she'd maybe downloaded a couple of the apps.
I'm just happy that she's still a member.
Me too. Thank you for your support. Harvey Retro.
Nowhere near
Retro's video, by the way. Did you
brilliant.
See that? I felt like I'd unboxed the unboxing live at the time. It was
brilliant.
He took a bag of skips and made it look like fine dining.
By the way, I bought too many skips. I've been feeding on the leftovers for the rest of the week.
Set us 2 packs.
The leftovers from the multi-pack or the leftovers from when Harvey Retro shoveled them into his mouth? Obviously in a very organic
from the
way.
Obviously, the amount of boxes I sent to skip ratio was out. So I ended up with... And also, I didn't count very well. I just bought them in a rush and ended up buying 2 packets too many. So I've just been gorging my way through them.
So a pack for you and a pack for...
No, not for you. No. Just for me. Where we're up to... Oh, yeah. And funnily enough, nowhere near Berlin.
There we go. Hello.
What do people think when they get to this part of a podcast and hear their name read out?
Why does George get
I guess from personal experience, it's like, yeah, cool. Anyway.
You contributed to this sub-average pile. I mean, all genuinely, joking aside, I know that the show's got a specific lore and humour around it, but every week I'm literally blown away by this list, and having a moment outside of the lore which is hard now because it's so confusing. I don't even know. Let me tell you where the law's at, and I'm honestly bringing the banhammer down on the law. I'm so confused about even who I am anymore.
Within your own law?
Within my, not only within my own law, but the whole show. I literally no idea who I am anymore. But I'm very humbled by the fact that people are still rocking up. The show's evolved from. It's such a bizarre show. I don't even think he even knows what it is anymore. Up next, Mumsy. We wouldn't be here without her in more ways than one.
And then unfortunately, it's fell on me for the RGT fan club.
It was almost like we timed it. Pete Brocklehurst.
Nice. Okay, that means I get Billy Marmite.
And then I get my good friend Simon Pryke.
Okay, but Greg, you've got to do this in your most sexually provocative way. It's what he asked for on this subscriber tier. I would normally do it, but since you're the guest, he deserves only the very best. So I want to feel like I am your prey. Sexual prey.
At Zangief.
Oh, that was deep.
The way he came into it as well, like muscular, masculine role of the first word, and then kind of delicately showed his way around Fat Zangief's body with the way he tiptoed across the vowels from the next one. I mean, absolutely unbelievable.
I feel like I need a cigarette after that.
Yep, I'm no lighting up.
I'm beyond it. I'm covered head to toe like Mr. Blobby and Nicorette patches. I've got a couple of the pouches lodged under my gums, and I've got a couple of Marlboro Reds in my socks. These people have subscribed to get access to some tiers. What's the first tier and how much does it cost, RGT?
Also, it's my fault. I should have got this done earlier. I'm going to get Boba, our obviously community manager. I'll get him to put this as a separate section on there. So if you're ever interested and you're on the Discord, you can have a quick look, see what the tiers. We're
not mentioning the Discord anymore.
No, but I will for that one. Yeah, so do you want me to just quickly read through them? I can quickly read through them if you like.
Yeah, you bash one out.
Oh dear. $3, you get read out on every show, which is what we've just done. $5, you'll get read out on every show, and you also get your yearly art merch when we change our artwork, like album art, something like that, fridge magnet, whatever we decide to launch that year, we'll send you a piece of that. $8, you get read out on every show, yearly art merch, plus you get access to the Unglorious chat, which is the locked off chat in the Discord. And then the final one is the $10, which you get read out on every show, yearly art merch, plus access to the Unglorious chat, and you get a quarterly Zoom chat with host, whoever's on that time, which we will hopefully by the end of next week launch the date when we're doing the first one of those. So that is the tiers. But like I say, we'll get that added to Discord in the section. So if
maybe you have a vote as well, because I realise now I'm almost like the Stonehenge of the show. No one really knows what I am. No one really knows what purpose I serve anymore.
True.
And they want to get down with the cool kids. They want to get down with the Shard, a.k.a. you. They want to get down with the walkie-talkie building, a.k.a. Bobby. They want to get down with some other size relatively... Triple S. Yeah, he's Canary Wharf.
Canary Wharf, there you go. Very true, yeah.
So maybe I won't. If it makes the environment better, I won't even turn up.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So we'll hopefully
the future of this show. That is.
No, don't be stupid. You'll be the number one name they'll be asking for.
I think you listen to a different show to me.
I'm just trying to make you feel good.
I don't fit well in the Attitude Era.
I think you fit quite well, actually. The Attitude Era changed you.
No, I feel, if anything, I'm almost a pastiche of myself. I feel like I'm the Val Venus of the Attitude Era of the show.
Where did these come from?
RGT is like the lukewarm, stone cold Steve Austin.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, you're basically Sting.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see myself dropping down from the rafters. Yeah. for tea time or whatever it might be.
NWO Wolfpack Sting coming down red and black. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
WCW's little version of Kane. What can we do? Just paint him red and black. They'll do it. Sort it. Slap him on the arse, kick him out there.
It's exactly the same thing.
NWA Wolfpack Sting, Kane on the shelf. You can't tell them apart. It's the same toy. It's the same freaking toy. Think how much more.
It's like I want Kane. We've got Kane at home, and it's Wolfpack Sting.
Poundland's version of NWA Wolfpacks.
He's done him now. His got
head's
him now.
not even on properly. Okay.
He's called Bing.
Bing.
Ming.
Oh no, not back to Ming the Merciless again.
Wow.
I said Bing, but we can go with Ming. It's fine.
Ming. But no, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't go down that road. Park it. With all that said and done, you've honoured us with your gracious presence, and I'm very grateful for that. The show, as you say, has quite obviously changed a lot since its first incarnation. You've been with us, listening and ably being part of the community, which we love you for along the way. But your own success story has literally gone vertical takeoff, and you're now in the industry. You're doing your thing. We're very grateful for you taking the time out. We know you're a dedicated family man. Time is precious at all times, and you've given it to us at the weekend as well. I don't know what you were going to do with it, but you certainly gave it to us, which is a very generous gift to give. Before we let you back out there in the wild, before we open the back door of Farmerton and let slip the dogs of war, can you tell everyone, A, where they can find you, B, probably direct them to maybe the Discord for the Forever Skies and any other places you want them to go? If there's anything you want to impart before you leave, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, sure. You can find me mostly on Twitter for my personal account. That's Greg J_Cummings1. That's where as much as Twitter sucks, I still hate it and I still use it almost daily. So yeah, you can find me there, or you can find us on the Forever Skies Discord. If you check out our socials, you can find us. You can find our Discord link everywhere. We have it in every place, on our social media, on our Steam page, wherever you might look, even on our PlayStation page. I believe it's there. I think maybe not. I'm not sure. But wherever you search Forever Skies Discord, you'll definitely find it there. So yeah, I'm there almost daily, hanging out, even at weekends, speaking to the community, and check out Forever Skies on Steam. See what you think. It might be for you, might be just something a bit different from what you usually play. But yeah, would definitely appreciate you checking it out at some point. But yeah, that's it. I'm not going to self-promote anymore. Too much.
No good umpers here.
No good umpers here. I try and avoid self-promotion as much as possible. Believe it or not, as a former content creator. Well, I say former, the door is always open for me and Enigmatic to do something else. But yeah.
A one-off special, I think.
Hey, we still talk quite regularly. Like the only reason why I don't make so much stuff is just because I'm so busy with my day job. But yeah, like that door's always open.
I would just love to see the three of you just one time throw down. I think probably the most universal place for you three to throw down would be some video game content. Yeah, or again, movie related to video game. Like I think that we did on your podcast last time. Johan and I. This podcast might be a bit of a giveaway to it, but I'm a big wrestling fan as well. Johan and I, we went to All In last year in London together. We still talk almost daily just about video games and wrestling and just general nonsense. So, yeah, for sure, we could definitely do something in the future. And Ed's also big into sort of more Attitude Era and before wrestling eras. So yeah, we would probably do something along those lines. But yeah, that door is always open. I love working with them. I owe a lot to those guys. Without them, I probably wouldn't be doing what I do now. So that cannot be underestimated. That cannot be understated. They taught me how to edit videos and learn about sort of framing and graphics, etc. So I learned a lot from them. So yeah, cannot understate that. Very beautiful, giving men. And I mean that with all sincerity. I genuinely, you, have been... I've had the glorious experience of knowing them or getting to know them, or I don't want to say too much. I'm loosely associated with them. I don't want them implicated in any of my court cases, so I know them loosely, very loosely.
Very, very loosely.
You see how I don't even know what's real anymore? I just don't know. With all that said and done, again, genuinely, thank you so much for coming
thank you, Greg.
Thank you
for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know it's something we've wanted to do for a while, and I'm so happy that we've been able to finally get around to it. So thank you.
Yeah, been brilliant.
Well, my great aunt can breathe a sigh of relief now. She's probably safe to go outside her house now that you've been on, because every time before, she threw herself on the floor every time you were coming on. So, yeah, we could take her off the danger list now, can't we?
The cable tied to the chair to be safe.
Yeah. For 3 weeks.
Attached to an airship.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that in the first DLC pack, there needs to be old woman dangling from chair beneath airship.
Like 5 people will get it, and it'll be so worth it.
It would. Dude, thank you genuinely so much for supporting the show, for doing us the honor of a man of your caliber being, even on the periphery of the community, but the way that you're involved is the way you are. Thank you so much. You got in on an early adopter box. We're very grateful. The love and support that you've given us just on the periphery is very heartwarming. Thank you so much. Stay in contact. Even if we were to grip very loosely onto your coattails as you soar through the gaming industry as a superhero, would be enough for me to say I've made it, if I'm honest with you. So thank you for that honor. Please stay in touch, stay around, stay that humble, beautiful, sexy human man.
Where is this going? Thank you. No, I appreciate the kind words.
And he used to speak to me like that.
Sorry, mate. He's upgraded now.
Even
with the big boys, apparently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
That's all we have time for this week, listeners. Thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy game room. There's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial control. It's what you do with it that counts. Thank you again. Thank you so much. See you guys.
See you later. See you guys.
Bye-bye.